Welcome back to the HUD Gaming. We're here with Heads Up episode number 12. I'm Mark Acevedo.
I'm Joel Torres, aka Joey with the Biz.
And joined with us in the studio is Dusty Justin again.
He has no mic today.
But he's got...
he never had a mic, to be honest, but he's not close to me.
Yeah, I'm not close enough.
We got a new setup. We're getting a little professional over here. We got an actual PC in the building.
They're not doing a duet on one mic on the other side of the room.
We got a PC powered by Dusty Justin.
Yeah, we got a beautiful new PC in here.
That'd be cool.
That...
like a sticker saying "Powered by Dusty Justin."
I kind of like that.
They have like dust like on the bottom of it.
No, I don't want to do that.
I like how we said like not to talk, and then he just started talking.
Before we did this, he was like, "How are we going to introduce me?" And then now you've got a whole monologue that you've been preparing.
God damn it!
I don't want people to like listen to this, and the first thing they associate it is like, "Oh, they're dirty." You got the dusty tag. That's them. That's not what we want.
If there was video right now, they would see how dirty we really are.
Yeah, the studio looks bad. But it should sound better.
It should sound better.
And we won't have any blue screening errors because we've got this new computer.
Yeah, hopefully not. We don't know.
So everything should be running smoothly.
We got the drivers updated. Microsoft
Go ahead and
Excel
play on that. It is June 14th, 2:37 probably now, and we'll be covering it's basically an E3 recap because that's all of the news that's been coming out this week.
E3 roundup.
Yeah. There's so much of it that we'll be going through it pretty quickly. We could link or tell you like all the trailers to watch down below, but the list would just go on forever, so you could probably just look up a video that's like kind of what we're doing, a gameplay and trailers compilation, or if there's any specific game that you're looking for, we'll mention if it's been like in the show or if it's not been in the show, because there's some games that just weren't mentioned at all, but pretty much everything that people were expecting was mentioned. All the leaks kind of came true, and then big games that people wanted but weren't there, companies were nice enough to say beforehand, like, hey, they're not going to be here, so don't expect them. But we'll start off with Microsoft. Microsoft showed their next generation console, which they're titling Project Scarlet.
Well,
for now.
They didn't show it, they announced.
Yeah, they announced it.
Yeah.
So they didn't show the actual box, and they didn't show the price, but they said that it'll be coming out in holiday of 2020, and that it'll be 4 times as powerful as the Xbox One X, and it'll launch with Halo Infinite as a day one title.
And it has ray tracing.
Yeah. Which
it basically was like the PlayStation Wired interview, but just like a little video behind it.
And just like, an official ad E3.
Exactly. That's basically what this was. Which it honestly kind of took a little bit of the thunder away from this reveal. Because it's like, oh, this is what PlayStation's doing, and then we saw that behind the scene footage of like Spider-Man running like super fast. So, like, that was even more of understanding how much more powerful.
Because they didn't show anything like that. Really they just showed like the insides or like people working on it.
What, the Halo Infinite, and that was in-game engine. It wasn't gameplay. So it's like
that's true.
This is the first next-gen game we got confirmed.
But even that Xbox Infinite stuff that they even the Halo Infinite stuff that they showed wasn't like benchmarking. It was just in-game engine. It wasn't like Spider-Man where it was like see the difference between PS4 and this next generation.
Like one thing that Phil Spencer said. It wasn't like saying, he was saying like you are not going to see the power of this generation. You're going to feel the power.
Oh yeah.
And I like that because I think that's honestly the only thing that really could change, because the visuals, I don't know how much better you can get looking at games that we have now. If you have like a 4K TV and a PlayStation 4 and a One X, you already know like how beautiful these games are. So I don't really think there's much that you can change in that, but like they're talking about reducing loading screens and just kind of like having the game always running and nothing really impeding your gaming.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing they're focusing on, is that you won't have a sluggish delay in between load times. If you want to go from like multiplayer to campaign, that should just be seamless, or when you go to your dashboard, it should be quick.
That's what I was about to say, the snappiness between the menus. I want that.
That's definitely been the main focus. Even for PlayStation, when PlayStation was showing theirs, they weren't like, hey, look at how pretty this is. They were showing the difference between how fast the city loads.
They said like 8K, 120 frames.
Yeah, basically
that's fucking crazy.
The stats the stats that they're throwing out are almost like too good for TVs that like we have now. Really?
Yeah, there's not 8K TVs.
I don't think there's 8K TVs.
There is.
But if there are,
they're very hard to get. Like we went to Best Buy. My dad asked if they have 8K TVs, but he said you have to drive all the way to Tampa to go get them.
Yeah.
Like you have to like go to certain spots, I guess.
Yeah, because
to get 'em.
we just went to Best Buy today. There was no 8K TVs.
Yeah, they're hard to find. They're probably expensive. Like,
Yeah,
I still don't even have
probably,
a...
like, specially made.
I don't even have a 4K TV in my room. In fact, my TV doesn't even do HDR. And I'm not going to buy a new TV for the next generation consoles unless something happens to my TV, you know? So, like, I'll enjoy the load times, but until, like, I have extra cash floating around.
To be honest, I was honestly thinking about getting... Not
Your
today.
TV's a little bit older than mine, though.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about buying a TV today, but I looked in there and I was like, I saw they had... Because
They have like a nice little size, and it looks like so clear.
Yeah, because my
Yeah.
problem with the 4K TVs is that they're all kind of big. There's not really one that's like 40, 42 inches. They were all kind of like 50 plus.
This is
Yeah.
49.
And this one was 49, yeah. So I wanted to get a smaller TV to fit in my room. I don't want like a big ass fucking TV. It's not gonna be able to like fit in my room because I like my little like corner.
Yeah.
So they're actually making them smaller. So I might actually think about getting a TVs for the next gen. So I have like all that shit loaded up. And I already have a PlayStation 4 Pros. I can't even use any of those like benefits.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Yeah, when I had... Like, with Forza Horizon, anytime I play it, it looks great, but I wonder what it would look like with HDR and 4K, because that's supposed to be, like, one of its big things, and Xbox One S supports that, so...
Yeah.
But it's not something I can take advantage of. Not that I feel like I'm suffering without it, just, yeah, it would be nice to have. And as all these technologies are out, they get cheaper, and they get easier for everyone to get, so they'll make smaller TVs, and that kind of stuff will just happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But Microsoft was like the big one that had their conference since PlayStation wasn't there, even though we'll talk about it more because PlayStation wasn't technically there, but realistically they kind of had their own thing. Like they showed their next generation console details. Same thing with Xbox. They didn't show the box itself.
Everything Xbox did, they just did it spaced out in like 2 to 3 months. Like,
Yeah.
and just
the last
2 to 3 months, they just like, well, like, here's a Wired interview. Here's our big like exclusive Death Stranding deep dive. What I liked about PlayStation, what they did with Death Stranding in particular, obviously the game's coming out this year, so it's further along than Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
But it showed like way more. I was kind of shocked at such a little we saw from Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Like,
And they didn't show any gameplay because it was a cinematic trailer.
Like a little gameplay.
Yeah. But companies kind of do that now. Like even if it's not super far away. Not that I'm saying I'm for it. I wish there was gameplay too.
Yeah.
But
I was honestly even shocked with Gears 5 not having any gameplay.
Gears 5 is just called Gears 5. It's not Gears of War.
I like that.
I like that more. Yeah.
I might actually play this one.
Do we know like how much is the Xbox, like the X or whatever?
The One X?
The One X?
Yeah.
I think it's MSRP. Its market thing is like $500, but I think you can get them for like $400.
So then this new Xbox is gonna be more than $500. It's gonna be like $600, $700.
Yeah, assume it would be more. Also, a thing that's worth noting
4 times, so it's probably gonna be like $700.
is Xbox's next generation console comes out in holiday of 2020, and PlayStation's will not be holiday 2020. PlayStation's is later. It's like spring of 21 or something.
Really? They said that?
They said it's later than like fall of 2020. They didn't
When
say
did they
when.
say that?
I remember reading it this morning because like because Xbox said that it'll be holiday 2020, and they said like in comparison PlayStation's will be later. They didn't really say like when. It's just like it'll be later.
That's weird.
I feel like that won't
that's
happen.
not true, yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's say this. Let's say that they had said that somewhere in the past.
Yeah.
Now Xbox has said, hey, this is coming out in holiday 2020. They could just try to push and be like, all right, we got to come out at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you can't. If there's that disparity, I'm gonna buy an Xbox no matter what because it's the next like big thing, and I don't have to decide between one.
Yeah.
So.
But also the price is all the pricing of
That's what I'm
these.
saying, not
Yeah.
Xbox, the new Xbox is gonna be expensive. So
But
4
I'm
times
honestly I'm a
stronger.
little concerned with the pricings of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, Scarlet for now.
Yeah, either of them.
Because what they sound like they're packing sounds like it's expensive as
Yeah.
fuck. Like,
And with it's all competitive kind of pricing. Like with what we had where Xbox was $500 and PlayStation was $399. That's still super expensive, but it's like, okay, they're kind of competitive. If they're both like $800, nobody's going to say a lot because it'll be like, well, we got to get one of them. It's just if one is way more expensive than the other one, that's when people will be like, nah, we're not going to get that one.
I'm guessing PlayStation's still going to be cheaper than Xbox.
I have no
I don't
clue.
know.
You know why? Because last time when they did their reveals for this generation, Xbox released their price first, and then PlayStation revealed their price later. But PlayStation was losing money making them for a little while before they started like making a profit.
But all these companies sell the consoles at a loss.
I know, but I'm saying like PlayStation might have been like, hey, we're gonna do it at 400 because Microsoft is doing it at 500, and now they're cheaper.
I don't think so because that's $100, and then you times that on scale, that's millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's not a decision I don't think they make, like they switch that fast. I just think that the Xbox was $100 more because they packed in the fucking Kinect. Remember, originally Xbox One came with the Kinect.
Yeah,
They were
that's
pushing
true.
That was like, and also another thing I like that Phil Spencer talked about when he was introducing Project Scarlet on stage. He kind of like threw a little bit of shade, saying the people making this Xbox are the team behind the One S and the One X, not the original one. And he said this machine is doing what it's supposed to do. It's
and it's
be made
built only for games. Yeah.
So
That's just gonna look nice too.
So honestly,
I hope
it's,
it looks
Yeah, it's gonna look nice.
it's the thing.
I mean, the Xbox One S and One X are
yeah,
beautiful.
we talked about
That's
it.
not-
We were
that's
talking
not-
about the consoles on that Patreon episode.
Yeah.
like those consoles are beautiful. Even today when we looked at them,
Yeah,
I was like,
then we
"Fuck,
went to Best Buy.
they're really
We saw
nice.
them.
They're like
Mhm.
beautiful looking." But it's kind of funny though, because now I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna do the PlayStation 4 marketing. It's gonna be all games for gamers, and this and that. And I'm wondering what PlayStation 5 is gonna do. Like,
Yeah.
how is their marketing gonna be now?
I feel like their marketing will be the same as it's
but
always
yeah.
been. It'll probably just be focused on the gamers, whatever you can share your games. But they don't have, because when they like referring back to the other time, Xbox was trying to do that thing where you couldn't share games with other people, and then Sony threw out their shade with
shit,
that
yeah, I
video
forgot that, yeah.
where they were like, hey, you can share games this way, and Shuhei just like handed it over to the other guy. So like, if without something like that, I don't know what their marketing will be to compete with Project Scarlet. I feel like it'll just be the same kind of like, hey, no loading screens is what they're focusing on. Everything is going to look really good. Focus on the players. Maybe it'll be cheaper or something like that. But yeah, I don't know what spin they'll have on it.
Another big thing that that is also very interesting is that the new Xbox is going to release with Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
That's like
Their
you
launch
gotta buy it.
title?
You got to buy it to play it.
Yeah, I mean, but I think there's a solid chance PlayStation's also going to launch with Last of Us 2. And if you're asking me, I'm easily going with Last of Us 2 as a launch title instead of Halo Infinite.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously for us,
So, I mean,
because
yeah.
we're PlayStation gamers, but
Well,
Xbox, I think.
Okay, yes and no. Obviously, yes, we're PlayStation gamers, but just in comparison, you have like 6 Halos you can play, and they're first-person shooters and they're multiplayers, so you might not need to play it like right now. If Last
But
of
if
Us
the
comes
story
out,
is good.
maybe the story will be good,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be as good as like a Naughty Dog game. And if a story game like that comes out, you're probably going to want to play it like immediately. Like there's no confusing like the demand or excitement for any time Naughty Dog releases a game. People are excited for Halo too. I'm not saying it's not something to be excited about.
I think that it's comparable. Halo. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, Halo's a bigger brand than Last of Us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been around way longer,
Yeah, so
for
I
sure.
think that Halo might even be. It's probably a bigger game, but the
Yeah.
hardcore gaming audience is
That's
probably
true.
more concerned about Last of Us 2.
And that's true. For the people who are more casual, they're more likely to be Halo fans than.
Then, yeah,
Not saying anything against Halo, just, yeah, it has a bigger audience and more people play it.
Yeah. But so Project Scarlet is the big thing that came out of this conference, and then also we have
Well, they had a bunch of big things. That was the biggest thing, like Microsoft exclusive centric kind of thing.
but then the real biggest thing,
Yeah, the
Keanu
biggest thing,
Reeves
yeah.
is now in Cyberpunk.
The biggest thing of all of E3,
E3.
pretty much for anyone who's really excited or was a fan of The Witcher, is Cyberpunk 2077. They showed that at the Xbox press conference, and Keanu Reeves made a surprise appearance both in-game and on stage. He came out after they showed a cinematic trailer, and then he kind of like pointed up at the screen to show another trailer. That was just a quick little small trailer showing the release date, which is April 16th, 2020, and it'll be releasing on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. And whenever the next generation consoles come out, it will also be on those. But
You know what also has been interesting is watching these trailers. They also have the Stadia logo now.
yeah, for some of them, which is
Some of
also
them-
key.
yeah,
Some of them do and some of them don't. Also with Keanu Reeves, there's a little bit more detailed about him, not at the actual show, but like afterwards, because
Yeah.
there's a bunch of gameplay that's been floating around. I personally haven't been watching a ton of it just because I don't want it to get spoiled for me, especially since it's first person. I know I'm going to play it
Yeah.
because what I've seen I think looks awesome. But they showed that he's going to be, he's not really like a small side character.
But he's gonna be like a
He'll be
side
kind of
character.
sticking around. What I've seen him be described as is the Joker from Arkham Knight.
Oh,
Like he's
shit.
kind of like in your head, and he like pops up every now and then. But
you know
like,
you know what I would like is that like if it's like a John Wick situation where he dies and the whole story is based on you getting revenge for him.
I mean,
That would be hilarious, and it would also be extremely meta, but
yeah.
that would be kind of funny.
I mean, I will just have to see what his role is in it. And then they also, in their gameplays, they detailed the 5 different areas that are in the city.
Mm-hmm.
They showed off one area in specific that's called Pacifica, which is like it's like a resort vacation area part of the city. That's like a bunch of resorts, and it's supposed to be really luxurious, but it's all run down and taken over by gangs. And they showed 2 of the new gangs, because previously in gameplay they showed 1 faction, and then they showed 2 more factions here. They showed how when you create your character, you can pick like different backstories for your origin.
Oh, shit.
And
That's cool.
based on the origin that you pick, you like different voice options will pop up throughout the story. So if you pick like the one that they use, for example, is like if you were born in the streets and like you had a rough upbringing,
Yeah.
there was one option that was like just grab someone's gun and just like start fighting them,
Oh, shit.
or like stuff like that. And then they showed there was 2 different gameplays that showed how differently you can play it. Like you can be completely aggressive and put all of your skill points in like making your arms really strong and bursting through doors, like ripping people apart using guns, or you can be like stealthy and hack. And they also said you can finish the whole game without killing anyone
That's
if that's something you want to do. And there are people who like that kind of stuff, because people who play
That was
like
big into
There's a trophy for
Dishonored.
that?
I mean, maybe, but I hope not. But regardless, that's not something I'm like. That's
This is
not a game.
I'm
yeah,
trying to platinum. This is a game I just want to play.
That's-
like,
yeah,
The
that's
Witcher
it, yeah.
3 is like a great game, but I was like, I'm never gonna platinum this.
yeah, for sure. But so they showed a bunch about that, and that was really exciting. I think it
That
looks
game,
amazing.
yeah. I think.
yeah.
I mean, I would say that's probably the game of the show.
yeah,
That's probably the most impressive game that I saw, and the game that I'm probably the most hyped for.
yeah, me too. I agree, especially because if you want to search any gameplay now, there's so much of it you can watch, and that's probably such a small segment of what's. Oh, another thing that was cool, like because CD Projekt Red's so good at small details, is another thing you can do is when you're driving your motorcycle, which motorcycles are in the game, you could drive it in 3rd person, you could drive it in 1st person. There are radio stations you can switch through, and if you're to pull up to an NPC, you don't have to get off of your bike to speak to people. You could just look at them
That's
and talk to
fucking
them
dope. That's
while
like
you're
some,
still
like,
on your
real
bike
life
or
shit.
when you're in your car. Like that's like the awesome kind of like small details that make a game like really, really cool. This is, I think,
You ever think
old.
we're gonna get to a future like this?
No,
I don't know. No, I'd just say I wouldn't know.
I don't think so.
That sounds.
If something like this was to happen, it would be way after 2077. Because I like think about movies like Blade Runner, the original one,
takes place
in
like,
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
So like, there's no way.
Back to the Future. 2015.
Terminator. Yeah, like those kind of classic movies, they show like these crazy future worlds. And I mean, I'm not saying we don't live in a crazy future world, but it's not futuristic in the way that they see it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess, but I mean, we're crazy futuristic in
Can
certain
you,
ways. We got like we got
Minimize that.
you can do everything from your phone. You know, you can get food, you can get everything you want from your phone. So I mean, eventually they're just going to be embedded in our brains, and then we'll just have like Keanu Reeves in our head.
Yeah.
Or you can be like,
This is old. Check new. Sorry that I'm interrupting it. It's just Justin is playing B-roll for us to watch of Cyberpunk gameplay, but he pulled up the 48-minute reveal that they posted last year.
Yeah.
So put up a new one. Like just put an E3 2019, you'll find one.
We're still teaching him how to search.
Yeah.
But what else from Microsoft Conference?
So, yeah,
Microsoft Conference overall was solid.
It was solid, but it was over promised, which I think is normal.
I think that it was really front half heavy. Like we
Yeah.
got the Blair Witch announcement,
I agree.
that looks cool.
Which when I was watching it, it kept me excited because I didn't know what it was.
Exactly. So that was cool. The Blair Witch like announcement in this, and then the Keanu Reeves reveal from Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And then from there, it kind of just
So they
it
also
kind of
had
started lagging.
they had their Dying Light thing. They showed a very small amount of that.
And then the middle was also spent talking about Game Pass and
Yeah,
Game Pass
which
Ultimate.
which for Game Pass, the Ultimate Game Pass looks awesome.
Yeah, like that's cool and that's fun. I know they have to do that. That's the point of the E3 like traditional conference. And
So
that's
they've
what I
got to
think-
make it known.
Yeah, but that's what I think after watching like the Nintendo Direct and all the other like directs that we saw, like even Google Stadia's like little 25-minute thing. Like
Yeah.
I like it being quickly edited and in and out of things and giving us the information we need and not really like waiting for pauses and wait because like they'd be like, oh look, you can get now Xbox Ultimate Game Pass for $1, and then they wait for like 5 minutes for like silence.
Yeah, it was nice and snappy.
And they don't have this shit where they bring like a fucking Lego car out. Like that's cool, but like that doesn't do much. That's for the people that are in the building. But for us, we care about the trailer, not the Lego car. And we're talking about the Lego expansion announced for Horizon 4.
Yes, but I still don't think Xbox's conference was like too slow, considering how much stuff they did push out. Because we did, all right. So they had Cyberpunk, they did their Project Scarlet thing. We're now looking at Forza Horizon 4. They announced the next expansion for that, which is Lego Speed Champions, and that's available now. So that was one of those things where they announced it and it came out, and you can get that on Xbox One or PC. They showed Dying Light 2. They showed Gears 5, which had.
I think the Gears 5 is another thing where it's like.
They showed their character pack that has like a Terminator skins that you can have in it. No, but I'm saying
even like the whole event with like the smoke and all that, like that shit's like that's cool, I mean, but that's just way too long. We spent like 15 minutes on Gears 5. We didn't see gameplay.
Yeah,
that's
you just saw
issue.
Yeah, and he made it even sound like you were going to see gameplay. He was like, we're going to take a brand new look.
No, because when they like opened up the stage and they were going down,
yeah,
I was like, okay, so we're going to get like some gameplay of some dope shit. And it was just like, oh.
No. They were just saying Escape is a new game mode, and then they showed a cinematic trailer for it.
And then they had this like Billie Eilish thing, which I didn't realize was Billie Eilish.
But for Gears 5, it'll be coming out in September. And if you pre-order it, you can get a Terminator pack that's like, it'll have skins you could play as a T-800.
Either you pre-order or play within the first week.
Yeah, and
if you have the Ultimate Games Pass,
and if you pre-order it, you get the game early, yeah. But then they also showed more on their Games Pass. Ultimate Games Pass is now for $14.99 a month. You can get their Games Pass and their Xbox Gold together. And if we were watching the show, I think the same day, I honestly don't know if it's still running, but you could have signed up for $1. I feel like that'd probably be like a week-long thing. And also included in
the Ultimate Game Pass, you get Game Pass for PC at no charge.
Yeah.
So.
And that's another, okay, yeah, true. And that's another thing that they said is like new, that they had in beta, but is now like a full thing.
Yeah.
That you can get Game Pass on your PC as well. I was super excited for Games Pass just because they showed Metro Exodus is on it, and I didn't play that.
That's crazy. That's a big get.
And that's like a big game that I really want to play. Also, tip for anyone who's gonna play that game or is wanting to get into the Metro series, play that with Russian dialogue and play it with English subtitles because it's way better. If you play it with English dialogue, it's still good, but it's like funny because it sounds kind of dumb. It's like watching an anime in English. Some people like that, but like I think it's better if you subtitle it, because Metro is a Russian-made game and like it's in Russia, so all the dialogue is way better in Russian. But anyway, that was exciting. That was another thing that they showed there, and then they showed a lot of indie games. They said they showed 60 games total.
Japanese games.
Yeah, which was
really shocking.
Yeah, definitely a different
30 minutes, and then they also had like remember that one game, I forgot what it was.
Crossfire X.
Crossfire X, and the way they were talking about it was like this big fucking thing, and then I was like, is this a big deal? Like,
I never really heard of it.
I've never heard of it because what is it? Phil Spencer said like the biggest game in the world or something, like 6 million players, 6 billion. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like Crossfire X, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and that's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Even this right here,
Phantasy Star 2. Which I know this is a big like MMO, but this is like
Tales of something.
Oh, this is Tales of something. Also, this doesn't look like any of the Tales games from previous.
It looks cool, huh? It looks very Asian.
Yeah, but the Tales series is a huge huge JRPG franchise for like JRPG people, but it's just weird to see it on Xbox's conference. Obviously, since PlayStation's not there, a lot of these Japanese titles probably have to go to Xbox to get on the big stage. Because this would usually be on a PlayStation conference. And that would fit PlayStation's tone.
Yeah. And then they also showed with Borderlands. On our last show, we talked about how it was teased that Borderlands 2 would get new DLC prior to Borderlands 3 coming out. So that they did fully announce that.
Be free.
He did say it would be free, and it is free. But it's free for a month.
Yeah. But I think once you download it, you have it.
Yeah, once you have it, it's purchased and it'll be under your name. Yeah. But if you don't grab it in 30 days, then it'll be $14.99, which right now is the best time to get it anyway because the Handsome Collection is on the PlayStation Plus lineup for this month anyway. So if you get that, they showed that, and then they showed a new trailer for Borderlands 3, which was kind of expected. So that'll come out on September 13th, 2019. But yeah, Microsoft's biggest highlights are kind of those. The Elden Ring was also shown.
But that's just like a cinematic trailer. It's like, wow, this is a new game.
It's a cinematic trailer, and they just showed the name.
It got the legs taken out of it because it was we knew it was going to be there.
Yeah.
We didn't know specifically Xbox conference, but we knew like
But
this
we-
game was going to be at E3.
And we knew the leaks kind of, because even that. So this Elden Ring leak we covered too in the last show, and this is the collaboration between From Software, who made Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, and also George R. R. Martin, who's famous for Game of Thrones. So people who are either fans of that are super excited, and there were already rumblings about them working on a game together. So they officially showed. Really, it's just a cinematic trailer; doesn't show anything else. But they also said like which platforms it'll be releasing on. And then in addition to that, also at the beginning of the show, another leak that we had that was also confirmed was Ninja Theory showed their new game, which is a 4v4 combat-centric multiplayer game that's called Bleeding Edge. And it kind of looks like it's in the same style of how Overwatch, Apex Legend, how they have specific characters that have like really unique art styles about them and are very recognizable. So that's what I got out of it, at least. They didn't show any gameplay. Again, it was a cinematic trailer, but they showed it, and it's very, like, kind of cartoonish and stuff, but that looks cool. But that was also leaked, so that wasn't really a surprise. So we knew that was coming, and then they just kind of showed it to us.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I mean, this was a good conference. It was a solid conference, but this kind of proved why PlayStation wasn't here.
Well, like they didn't...
There was nothing new.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I think... If I'm PlayStation, if I'm Sony, if I'm watching this conference, any of the E3 conferences, I don't feel like I missed out on anything.
Well, you didn't miss out on anything because they did their own thing anyway. They just released their Death Stranding trailer, which plenty of people watched and talked about.
Yeah.
They showed...
But I think that the Microsoft thing kind of showed, like, the reason why. Because it was an hour and a half, and we retracked a lot of things that we already knew a lot about. The biggest reveal was obviously this Blair Witch project.
A lot of it was from leaks, though. Like, to be fair, a lot of the things that we're talking about, we only learned of, like, last week.
Cyberpunk was going to be there. We knew that they're going to talk about a Forza game, whether a new one or expansion.
Ninja Theory is a new game, at least we didn't know until it was leaked.
Yeah.
Last week, the Borderlands DLC was leaked. We didn't know about that prior. Forza Horizons expansion was, like, I mean, we just saw it there, so that wasn't leaked. Halo Infinite we didn't know about. We just knew they were going to talk...
Halo Infinite.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. They showed a thing for it before, too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. They didn't show anything like groundbreaking, but still, I don't want it to be a trend of where PlayStation is not there.
But I also,
and we'll have it linked below. There's also an article where Phil Spencer's talking about how he's not happy that Sony wasn't there either.
But but the thing is, it also shows the fact PlayStation, I think,
because it's not good for gaming in general for like Sony to not be there. It's better to have. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's fine because they have their own. They're controlling their messaging.
I'm not saying it's bad for.
Play.
I'm not saying it's bad for Sony. I'm just saying it means that less people are going to be like watching this whole thing, because like
I think it's bad. Yeah, maybe for the big E3 event.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
E3 in itself is kind of. It's just a big marketing.
Yeah, but if it dies out, that would kind of suck.
It would suck, but then I think honestly.
I mean, obviously everything's going to continue. It's not like this is going to end and
okay,
everything's
so
going to go away.
If E3 falls apart and it sucks, what are we really missing? Because it wasn't a fan event until, 2 years ago when they just let public come in.
Mm.
And those PAX events, from what I've heard from people that go to all these events, do it way better than E3 does already.
Yeah.
And what, you're not going to be able to get, an hour and a half thing where you see trailers and have people awkwardly talk?
And give you like special promotions and make things cheaper. And there's always sales during E3 too.
Yeah, but they have sales constantly throughout the year.
All I'm saying is I think this is way better than not having it. Because if you don't have this,
I think this E3 overall was kind of underwhelming. Out of all
well, yeah, no. I mean, I agree. Yeah,
out
for
of
sure.
all the conferences,
that's also because of Sony not being there.
Well, yeah, maybe because we care about the Sony conference the most. But of all of the conferences, the one that had the most surprising reveals is probably Bethesda.
Fuck no.
What?
Definitely Microsoft. Bethesda sucked.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we're gonna talk about that right now.
Christ, I like Bethesda's.
Oh okay, but no. You're talking about surprises. Yeah. Bethesda showed absolutely nothing new aside from some Doom gameplay that we haven't seen, which. Obviously, I'm a huge fan. I'm going to pre-order to play the shit out of it. I love Doom. I'm not saying Bethesda, what they showed, was bad, but they didn't have surprises. They showed Fallout 76 for a little while and talked about it and how it's going to be free. They spent too much time on 2 mobile games that they're launching, which nobody really cares about phone games, and they definitely should not be at E3. They showed nothing about Starfield. They didn't even mention it.
Yeah, because they said they weren't.
I know, but still. Okay, CD Projekt Red said that Cyberpunk wasn't going to be at this E3. But it still was. You can say it's not going to be there and still have it be a surprise.
Yeah, but also we know Cyberpunk's coming out soon.
I know, but I'm saying
Starfield's not coming out till like
I know,
2022.
but I'm still saying CD Projekt Red was still like, hey, it's not going to be there. Oh, it's there, and Keanu Reeves is there. It's a big thing. Like that's how you should do it. Is have it like hidden, whatever, and have your surprises. Todd Howard just came out and he was like, hey, no Elder Scrolls 6, no Starfield, which is fine. Like we were saying, we were expecting, but they didn't show anything that was like. The two things that they showed is Tango Gameworks' new game, which again,
looks amazing.
Cinematic trailer with I don't get super excited just on cinematic trailers. So here's
the thing when it comes to cinematic and gameplay trailers, because I will critique some of these trailers for not having gameplay. When a game is first revealed, I'm okay with it just being cinematics. But if it's a game that I've already knew before E3 that was going to be at E3 and it doesn't have gameplay, that's where I have an issue. So that's why I critique Gears 5 for not having gameplay and Halo Infinite for not having gameplay because we've already seen those games and we already know those games. Mm-hmm. So I just want to clarify that because then people are going to come back and
that makes sense.
So, but with the reveal of Deathloop, I believe is the name of the other one by Arcane, which that looks really interesting, and then also Ghost Tokyo, right? Is it called Ghost Tokyo?
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were just cinematic trailers, but those cinematic trailers look really interesting. And I know Ghostwire Tokyo. I know that game is going to be good because the Evil Within 1 and 2 are good.
I mean, yeah.
And they're survival horror games, but what I do like that they said is it's going to be less survival horror and more action adventure. So it's going to be more in the vein of Resident Evil 2 remake and that kind of style of gameplay.
Okay, so absolutely not. You just get like nice and excited, which is good. Like you're more positive about like the outlook of things than I am when I see these kind of things. But a cinematic trailer to me is absolutely nothing. It's just like, let's put something fancy in front. Okay, like the cinematic trailer that they showed for Elder Scrolls Online looks fucking amazing. But that game is completely different. I know the game's already out. I'm not saying the game is not out, and I understand what you're saying with like you want to see gameplay when it's already been announced. I get that. I'm just saying cinematic trailers are obviously supposed to get you super hype, but really don't have much to do with the game that you're gonna end up playing in the like later run. Evil Within 1 and 2 are similar to Resident Evil, and they're saying this one is not similar to Evil Within, so it's not going to be anything like Resident Evil because they're saying it's not a horror game.
Yeah, but Resident Evil 2 is not like any of the other.
But Resident Evil is a survival horror game. Yeah, it's more actiony, but it's a survival horror. This is not a horror game.
This game seems like it has horror elements, definitely.
But they said it was more like an action adventure game.
But yeah, I would say Resident Evil 2 is action adventure.
Yeah.
It has horror elements. Horror is not a genre. Horror is an aesthetic.
I disagree with you. I think Resident Evil is a survival horror game, not an action adventure game. They said this is action adventure.
I think it's an action adventure game. The remake, I think, is action adventure. Maybe the original ones. The Resident Evil 7 is an action adventure. It has horror elements.
It's a horror game, though. Like, it doesn't have horror elements. If anything, it has, like, maybe some action elements, but it's a horror game.
But horror game doesn't mean anything. Horror is an aesthetic. It's not a gameplay.
Survival horror is a genre, though.
Survival horror, yes. But not every horror game is a survival horror game.
I understand that. Survival horror is like Dead Space, Resident Evil up until like 6, because 6 is like not really survival horror.
Those are kind of like action. I think those games have action.
They do have action. I'm not saying they don't have action. The only thing that makes
survival horror is what, the limited ammo?
Yeah, like all that. Okay, yes, but I'm saying.
But the gameplay itself is kind of action.
But here's what I'm trying to tell you. Evil Within 1 and 2, which is the game that Tango Gameworks made.
Also, look at this. You don't think this has any horror
elements? It's a cinematic trailer.
But it's not a happy setting.
I know it's not a happy setting. But I'm saying...
Justin, what do you think? You think this game's going to be a horror game? It's going to have scary elements in it?
I yes, it's definitely going to have scary elements.
I think
they show you ghosts. Even the little girl. Not the little girl, but the girl that before it was like, this is a spooky game.
You're straight up...
Oh, shit. She
said it. But you are straight up, like, not paying attention to what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not going to be scary. Evil Within, Resident Evil, both survival horror games... They know what a survival horror game is. They didn't say this is a survival horror game. They said it's an action-adventure game. You look at Sekiro. That has scary stuff in it. It's not a horror game. Yeah. It's a melee combat game. I'm saying it's not going to play like Resident Evil. That's what I'm saying. You compare it to Resident Evil, and I was like, there's no fucking way it's going to be similar to that.
Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 7 are different.
That's fine.
These are
there's no way it's going to be like that, though. Because Evil Within is like that. Like, that's what Evil Within takes from.
Evil Within is more like RE4.
RE4 and RE2 are like the same style of
No,
play.
they're not, because I could play RE2.
Play RE2 and then play RE4 and tell me they're not the same type of play. They're
literally
both
tried
third
playing
person.
through RE4.
Dude.
I can't play it.
They're both third person survival horror games where you're just managing all of your items and it's over the shoulder shooting. They're the exact same genre. You can't play it because you don't like it. Say that. Don't say you can't play it because they're like not the same.
The gameplay is what I can't.
Yeah, because it's old. That's fine. Resident Evil 2, they remade. It's nice. It's great. It's beautiful. It's new. It's flashy. They'll probably do one for Resident Evil 4.
The fluidity of the gameplay makes it less survival horror.
Yeah, because it's
survival horror. I think,
but it's still survival horror.
Okay.
Like that doesn't just mean that like the game's new now, so it's a completely different genre. Like that doesn't make sense.
That's another thing. That's what I hate about horror games is that the horror is not a gameplay.
I'm not. That is. You're just not picking up on what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. Survival
You're saying
horror,
things
but
can
what
be
I'm
scary.
saying is
Horror.
that Resident Evil 2
I'm saying that's
is
fine.
more action adventure than survival horror because the gameplay flows way better than any other Resident Evil game besides Resident Evil 7, which is way more action than Resident Evil 2.
I'm going based on what they said again. They said this is action adventure. They consider Evil Within survival horror.
They didn't say action adventure. They said more action adventure. They said it's more. So what I was implying is that I believe they said it's going to be more action adventure, not as.
You know what's the most important thing to take away from this, aside from all of our arguing?
What?
A cinematic trailer doesn't tell you shit. Really.
But it kind of shows...
Because we're arguing, though, but I don't know what it is.
It shows you kind of like the theme of what's...
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, it'll get you like an idea, but you don't know what you'll be playing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, obviously you don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's why I'm expecting like a Resident Evil 2 style game, where the game is like...
No.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see that. That's the main reason.
I don't think this is going to be a game where you're like fucking playing like an action adventure game like what? Like
I think
Uncharted?
that too.
This is not going to be like Uncharted.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, this is not going to be like that.
Okay, but see, that's what I get out of it when they say it's going to be more action adventure. Because you didn't.
There's also a language barrier.
You played.
She just was saying words.
I mean, that's true,
There's
but
a language barrier.
You've got to also.
She was kind of clear with what she was saying. She was kind of more like.
You also have to remember one of the most important things is the guy who's behind Tango Gameworks is one of the original like creators of Resident Evil.
That's what I'm saying. So it's gonna have that.
So he fucking
DNA.
knows what survival horror is, and he knows that this is not survival horror. Like that's not how they're presenting it. That's like one of my biggest things. It's not even that we're talking about horror or anything.
That's my biggest thing is that it's gonna have those DNA elements in it. It's just not. There's not. They don't want to say survival horror.
But
I think they're trying to get away from the Evil Within 2 in specific.
Which was close to what?
Resident Evil.
Okay, they're going away from that. That's what I'm trying to say.
It had better gameplay and it was more action, right?
Yeah. So they're continuing that path to go away from a Resident Evil style game. That's all I'm saying. You said Resident Evil 2, and I was like, I don't know where you're getting that from.
But I don't. We're just arguing.
Again, regardless
this is never ending. I don't think Resident Evil 2 is as survival horror as. It's more action adventure in my mind.
That's fine. I mean, you could see what other people say. I would never hear anyone say that a Resident Evil game is not a survival horror game, even considering that's like.
I'm not saying
it's the game that made that a genre.
Yeah, but this game is completely the Resident Evil. That's why it's a remake.
It's not game. I'm confused.
It just changed the perspective.
I don't know what Joel's point is.
I don't know where you're coming from either. I'm just saying I don't think this is going to play like that, and I don't think it's going to be a survival horror game.
I think it's going to be a little bit more faster paced.
Yeah, and if any, you saying Uncharted and all that kind of stuff, I think it is going to be like probably like big cinematic thing.
I don't think so though. That's why. But that's just what I think.
You also never even finished a Tango Gameworks game. And I'm not saying that's just it. I'm saying though,
like the Resident Evil games.
No, but I'm saying though, like you don't even know what their other games were, and you're like,
what are their other games?
I'm saying Evil Within and Evil Within 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I tried playing with Evil Within, I couldn't because like the same problem with RE4. I don't like that style of gameplay.
Yeah, right. We're not gonna get anywhere with this, but it's survival horror is like the important thing, and they're saying this isn't. But that doesn't matter because cinematic trust, so we don't know where we're playing, so we could argue forever about it.
We just know it's gonna have some sort of spookiness.
Yeah, it'll be spooky, but it'll be like big action adventure. And when I hear big action adventure, I think of like Uncharted or Tomb Raider or something like that.
I don't think it's gonna be like that, but we'll just see whenever the game comes out.
It could be that, but the theme is different. Like that happens all the time. That's what I'm saying.
I think it might be like that one game, like where is it? Wherever it's called?
Sekiro?
Yeah, Sekiro.
No, it's not gonna be like that.
No, but again, he's saying that like that's a take on like Bloodborne and Neo, but it's a different theme over it, but it's the same style of game.
Yeah, that's
that's
like the same combat.
That's what he's saying,
like jumping around,
which I agree with. Like this might be a big adventure game.
Resident Evil, where like you're like first person, you're like walking really kind of slow through the house.
Well,
like I don't think it's gonna be like that.
First person.
Well,
only Resident
Evil 7
really?
is first person. But even then, that's fine. Even without that, the point is those are like slow paced. You've got to watch all of your whatever.
Yeah.
Again, the only thing that really matters is we don't know anything about this other than a cinematic trailer and a name. And all I'm saying is I don't get super excited based on that because I don't know what to expect. Like even Deathloop looks really cool. Don't know what to expect. Elden Ring, don't know what to expect. It's fine.
But we know. But I'm saying you don't know what to expect, but you know what these games are going to be.
No, I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You know Elden Ring's going to be a Soul-style game.
Because it's from software?
Yes.
But maybe it'll be slow, maybe it'll be fast. I don't know that. Is it going to be like Sekiro? Is it going to be like Bloodborne? Is it going to be like Dark Souls? There's differences.
They're still the same. They're all similar.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, just because it's from that studio?
So you know what Elden Ring is going to be.
But it's,
with Deathloop, I know it's going to be like Arcane Studios, Dishonored. There's going to be multiple paths to go through and finish things. So I know what is going to be in these games. So that's why I get excited, because I know what the gameplay is going to be like, and what, like, even with Prey, I knew Prey was going to be like Dishonored, where it's like multiple ways to go through things and stuff like that. It's just the aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So that's what I'm assuming if Tangle's GameWorks next game. Yes, they said action adventure.
But how are you excited for it if you didn't like Evil Within then? You don't like their games, so are you excited for it? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't even make sense, like, what you're, like...
I'm excited because they said it's going to be more action adventure, so I'm expecting Resident Evil style gameplay, just a little bit more fast.
You know that you're off the path, and it is totally fine we're taking this, because I know this is entertaining for anyone listening.
This is not entertaining. Dude, we're running around in circles. People hate us right now. Because,
okay, what you're saying about From Software, I agree. They do make the same style of game, so we probably can expect that. But it's not impossible for a studio to try a different genre. Even Playground Games, who worked on Forza Horizon, are making games that aren't even racing games. It happens. People switch the kind of like genre that they make. From Software with George R.R. Martin, they didn't say it's going to be Bloodborne. We just don't know what it is, right? We don't know what it is. We can assume what it is, but we don't know exactly what it is.
But we know.
We don't know. You just want to be opposing.
But what I'm saying is we know this game's not going to be a first-person game.
We don't know what it's going to be, period. Because they showed a cinematic trailer and that's all they showed.
But we know.
Is that right or is that wrong? They showed the cinematic trailer.
But what I'm saying
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what I don't know what Ghostwire Tokyo exactly what it's going to be. I don't know what Deathloop exactly is going to be. Yes, it's going to have branching paths. Yes, it's going to have an open like levels where you can decide how you want to go through it. But I don't know if it's going to be like a linear story game. They showed that it'll be you versus another person mainly, and that time is going to be like a huge part of it because you're on a day that rewinds. I don't know how that's going to work. There's so many things you don't know just from a cinematic trailer. That's all I'm saying. You're making it sound like you got like inside information. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm not saying I have inside information. What I'm saying is even with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
When they told me what the game was and I just saw even when I saw the fucking logo, I knew exactly what it was. And when I saw it, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And that's great. A third-person melee combat game with a lightsaber.
Dude, you're talking out of your ass now. You can't be like, oh, I saw the title and I knew what it was. They only said the title at the time when they said it's going to be a single-player game.
They said it's a
obviously, we know what it is now.
Making guesses.
Dude,
he doesn't actually know.
That's what I'm saying. It's okay to make guesses, but don't be like, it's going to be like this, or it's going to be like that, or like we know it's going to be like this, because we don't. And my main point is...
I just wanted to be on the record, we know Elden Ring is going to be like a Soul-style game. I just want that to be out there so that when it's like that, I'll be like, oh, wow, look, it's exactly what I thought what it is.
See, but what I'm saying is I'm not barring that. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying we don't know. So, like, if that happens... let's say that happens, right? If that happens and it is, you're just going to be screaming and we're all going to get annoyed. If you're wrong, you're just not going to say anything. Or you can just act like a normal person and be like, hey, we don't know what it's going to be. And then it comes out and then everyone's excited for what the game is. Like, that's just, like, natural. And the only thing that this is coming from is that I'm saying I don't get super excited based on cinematic trailers because I don't know what the game is going to be. That's all I'm saying. That was, like, the point one of all of this.
Yeah,
is that cinematic trailers are too flashy.
Cinematic trailers, and if you know the studio behind it, you can guess. You can guess very well what the type of game is going to be.
That is true.
No, you know why? Think about cinematic trailers that have come out that you were excited for, but then the game was not what you thought it was, and it was bad. Prey is a good example for that. I was crazy excited for that.
First person.
Do you like Prey?
I played it. I enjoyed it. It was a little too long.
A little too long? You did not like that game.
I did like it.
I didn't like that game. Maybe I just didn't like that game.
I beat the game. What are you talking about? I liked the game. At the end,
you finished Rage 2. Beating a game doesn't mean you like it. They can still be that game.
I got frustrated with Prey because it was way too long. And it had way too much to do, but it was still a good.
I like the idea of it was cool.
It was
that's what I'm saying. The cinematic trailer was super dope, but I didn't like it when I played it. I'm like, cinematic trailers are too much.
It shows the idea of it. It doesn't show like.
But was the game?
Exactly. Yeah.
80 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
It shows you the idea.
It just gives you a brief like this is what it could be.
Whether you liked the game and whether you knew what it was, there's two different things. You knew what the gameplay of Prey was going to be.
No, I didn't. It's just a
cinematic
trailer.
I guess you just expect. I don't know. I guess you expect like From Software's game might be a first-person shooter in your mind.
Even We Happy Few, the cinematic trailers for that looked really cool.
But I'm not gonna. From what I see from the gameplay, that's not shocking to me.
No, I know.
Whether the game is good or not, that's a different thing.
We're not talking about gameplay. We're talking about cinematic trailers. This is the main point of what we're talking about. When the cinematic trailers were shown for We Happy Few, it looked really cool.
Yeah. But
the game sucks. And the game is not...
Those are two different things. I'm talking about whether knowing what the gameplay is going to be based on a cinematic trailer and whether the game is good.
I didn't even finish my sentence.
No, because you're saying the games are sucking.
And I didn't finish my sentence.
Okay.
I didn't know what the game was going to be based on the cinematic trailer. I just got really excited from the cinematic trailer. The game looked super cool. And it just did. Like, just period.
But
cinematic trailer was awesome.
You didn't know it was going to be a first... From watching the We Happy Few and Prey trailer, you didn't know that they were going to be first-person perspective games?
From watching a cinematic trailer, you can't tell.
For me, I could have told. I assumed that that's what they were going to be.
All right.
Especially with Prey, the first two were first-person shooters.
I don't think this Ghost War game is going to be.
It's going to be third-person, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also,
I think it's going to be third-person. Okay. Apparently, Mark might think it's a first-person like Call of Duty shooter.
Because it can be played Call of Duty.
Because games can be whatever they want to be.
I'm not saying anything about the perspective anyway. And also, even with what you just said with Prey, they came out as... Well, it doesn't matter. I was going to say, you know from their first two games, but it was Dishonored, then Prey, then Dishonored 2. Like, if you just want to act like you know what's going to happen, then you can act like that, but you're not...
I'm not saying like I know what's going to happen, but I'm saying like I can...
That is exactly what you've been saying. You're I can tell exactly what a game's going to be based on cinematic trailer.
You're making an educated guess.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I can put 2 and 2 together and kind of assume what the games are going to be.
Okay, but you don't know what it's going to be.
You can make an educated
guess. You can just say you don't. That's what I'm saying. You don't know.
I mean, I don't know 100% sure, but I'm...
All right.
I would be shocked if it's not...
That's literally all we needed. Now we can move on.
I would just be shocked if it doesn't... If it's not what I think it's going to be.
That's fine.
And
that is literally...
There's been very few games... I honestly, not even few. I don't think a game... I've seen this cinematic trailer and been shocked about what the gameplay was. Because, like, seeing it, you'd be like, oh, okay, I kind of can see what it...
So, Elder Scrolls Online, you saw the first cinematic trailer and you're like, I know exactly how this is going to play.
Doesn't it play just like Skyrim? It's a first-person...
It plays nothing like Skyrim.
But it's a first-person's perspective game where you
Third person, not first person. Wow. It plays like an MMO.
I did not know that.
That's what I'm saying. And no, but that's fine. I'm not trying to be like, oh, you don't know this. Seriously, like the Elder Scrolls Online trailer they show, Elder Scrolls Online trailers,
first person for real,
and they're fucking awesome. They don't have first person.
That's what
it's not like say it's third person, but it's like
that proves Mark's point again. You can't.
Well, you just don't know what the game is going to be, and regardless of the perspective,
we can make an educated guess.
But regardless of the perspective, they don't really play like them anyway. Like they're so different, and I'm saying just cinematic trailers just look awesome. But they're nothing like... Think about, like, World of Warcraft cinematic trailers.
But those games are good.
No, I'm not saying anything about them being bad. I'm just saying the cinematic trailers are so different from what the game is. That's all I'm saying. Even with, like, Overwatch cinematic trailers, these games are fantastic. We love these games. Other people love these games. Cinematic trailers are awesome. Game is awesome. But they're just not, like... You can't watch a cinematic trailer and be like, I know exactly what the game is. You can guess, but you just don't know for sure. That's all I'm saying. That's why when I see new games announced...
I think I know exactly what the game is.
That's fine. But when a new game is announced, I see it and I'm like, this is exciting, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be.
Mark's a little open-minded. Joel is just kind of assuming.
I'm not going to like pre-order it based on something I'm excited for.
I just look at the studio and look at the game, the trailer, and I'm like, well, that looks like that's going to be that type of game. That looks like that's going to be that type of game.
But Mark's more open-minded. Yeah. He's like, I don't know.
No, but either way, what he's saying is fine. Like, because, I mean, if you do see it from software game, you are going to assume that it's going to be like that.
So then you guys are agreeing?
There was not really anything.
Mark just doesn't like the fact that I'm like putting my opinions out there, saying that like I know it's gonna be like this, because he's just. I don't know why he doesn't.
Well, because when I say stuff, sometimes you just oppose it to oppose it. Like even sometimes some things you say, some things you say.
I don't think I did any. When did I do that?
I mean, even then and this is recorded. We can like scroll back even when you're like, oh, I know it's gonna be like this. Eventually, when things soften up, you'd be like, oh yeah, maybe okay, yeah.
But
I'm
right, saying in my mind, I think I know what it's gonna be.
And
in my mind, I'm thinking I know this is gonna be this. So
that's fine.
What I think.
That's fine, but all I'm saying is like before I was like, there's a chance it might not be, and there's a chance it might not be, and that's all there is to it.
I mean, there's a chance for everything.
Okay, perfect. That's true. That is definitely true. It's like Deathloop. But anyway, so Bethesda, we're still on their conference. So those were the two games they showed. Yeah, those are the two games that they showed that were like brand new, and then they showed a ton of stuff about Doom Eternal. They just showed more gameplay, which I'm super excited for because it looks different. Like, it's more Doom, obviously, but the settings and stuff look very different compared to just being in hell. It has, like, I don't know, you can scroll to it. It has, like, I don't know, like, some castle-like feel to it.
Yeah, it does.
Like, some of the areas are in, like, castles and, like... So I'm just curious to see exactly what they're going to be exploring with it, and I think it looks great. And they gave a release date for that, too.
The gameplay looks cool.
It comes out, what,
November 22nd. Yeah, so that'll be another fall game.
I never played Doom, but like after I played Rage, I was like, Doom looks like a lot better.
Doom is like, a lot better. The gameplay, yeah.
The gameplay looks way better, looks quicker. You have all these cool guns.
You know what I think the biggest thing that this does so much better than Rage 2's combat, and we're only comparing them because id Software worked on both of them, so that's where that first-person combat came from, is Doom has some of the coolest and best variation of enemies every time you fight.
That is a big issue, but honestly, I think it's just the open worldness of Rage is like kind of useless.
That's true. Yeah.
This is you go in a set piece and you get like 30 enemies thrown at you. At Rage, you like have to like drive around and find 5 and kill them real quick and have fun, and then you're like,
I think around. That does contribute a lot to it. Maybe
I completely agree. Yeah.
Add a little bit more.
I think if it was more packed, it wouldn't feel as good as Doom, but it would feel like on par.
It would feel better than it does. Yeah, I agree. Because when you play Doom, they like lock you into arena almost. Once a fight starts, it's like you can't go back and you can't go forward until it's over.
Like this E3 demo has more enemies than I have faced in Rage.
Yeah, like in
general. And I beat the game.
So. No, this is like all the enemies in one like whole mission that you have to do.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, so that looked really good, and they showed the release date for that. They did a small segment on the new Wolfenstein. They showed a little bit of both of them, the Cyberpilot one, which is the VR title, and then also the regular one, which is coming out on July 26th and is co-op. And they showed some more stuff about that, some more gameplay, so that's exciting. But they didn't, they just showed, new-wise, they just showed those 2 cinematic trailers, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. And then when their thing came to an end, again, they didn't mention Starfield, they didn't mention Elder Scrolls 6, and then the next day we had Ubisoft, Square, and Nintendo. And even Ubisoft, when we were talking about...
Ubisoft had a really bad conference.
Yeah, and I was going to say, even with us talking about like leaks beforehand, you were the one that told me about Watch Dogs before they even showed that.
And everything that I said was... Not everything. I'm not saying I took credit for it.
No, but pretty much everything you said was on point.
Yeah, from the article, from the... I don't know if Jason Schreier broke down Watch Dogs. I know he definitely did Elden Ring. Mm-hmm. But he might have done Watch Dogs Legion as well. But yeah, everything from that was like dead on. It was like you can play as any NPC and all that stuff, and they showed that stuff. So
yeah,
but the Watch Dogs Legion looks interesting.
It looks cool, but it's
like post it's like bad. It's
like
not good. it's
like
post-apocalyptic, but it's like shit's gonna hit the
cool instruments. The beginning?
No, I don't know really. I'm not one for all that. I mean, it's cool, but
can you pull up the Watch
that's
Dogs
one of those
stuff?
things.
Just search up Watch Dogs Legion.
That like he's showing right now Assassin's Creed how they did like the symphony thing. That's one of those kind of things that Joel was talking about.
I don't like when they do that at
E3. It's cut out of those directs, which is nice because that kind of stuff is unnecessary. I'm not gonna see that and then be like, oh, great. I'm just gonna hear that and be like, all right, whatever.
You're fine right here.
We'll wait until they get to something.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying about the Gears 5, and even honestly, even with the Keanu Reeves thing, it was just cool because it's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
But like even that kind of stuff is just like a little unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's for this.
I don't think Keanu
it's for
Reeves
this.
showing on the stage is unnecessary. I think it makes.
Well,
But I'm just
sense.
keeping. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, I'm keeping the same energy. Because if I don't like the other shit, then the one thing I do like, because it's the person I
Yeah.
like, I'm not hypocritical.
And what he's
I
saying,
like
yeah.
that because I
But
like that person.
That makes sense. If someone's in the game, then they should come out after the.
But think
But
about it
that's
this
wasting
way.
time.
But just think about it this way.
Because I don't
He's
like
not
when
saying-
John Berthal did
As
it.
long as
Yeah.
he's talking about the game.
But what I'm saying is, I don't
But
like when John Berthal did it for
He's not
Ubisoft.
saying he didn't like that.
Oh.
He's saying he thought the Keanu Reeves thing was cool, but it was unnecessary, which I agree with.
Oh.
When you watch Sony's conference when they did the God of War thing and they had them playing like the God of War music and all that kind of stuff, that's cool, but it's unnecessary. They could cut that out and just show me what I came for.
But
then
That's-
also
But to
everyone knows
be
that.
hypocritical, when Sony did, the thing is when Sony did it, I hate to sound like a Sony pony, they did it right. Because the whole screen would change, and they did it for Horizon. They did that. I remember that conference. They did it for
Yeah.
Spider-Man and everything. Like the whole, they just I don't know. They just know how to do it right. But last year they didn't know how to do it right. Last year they tried a little too much. But yeah, that year I actually did like that when they played like the symphony. They have like all the games they showed, and it kind of like flowed well. But the thing is that it was quick. I don't
Yeah.
like when things take time.
Yeah, I agree.
But still, even that stuff, yeah, it is unnecessary, and I prefer more direct style where I get the information quick and fast.
Which is continuously more and more the trend for almost all companies.
Even with Sony now, they adopted the state of play.
Yeah, Sony's doing one, Xbox has one, Nintendo has
Everyone
been doing
just
theirs for a
so
while.
Short, like, what is it called?
Because honestly, it's hard to look how long this Ubisoft conference is. What is it like? It was like what, an hour and 15? This Ubisoft conference is an hour and 15, and the only really important news that came out of it is we got a nice Watch Dogs Legion like full blowout with gameplay and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then besides that, what, the Rainbow Six 3-on-3 game, or Quantum Break, I believe is what it's called. And then besides that, the rest of it was just updates. Besides that, it was just the updates on what, Rainbow Six Siege, Assassin's Creed. You can make your own quests now.
Yeah.
Just Dance 2020 is coming out for the bajillionth time.
Mm-hmm.
Still coming to the Wii, not the Wii U, which is funny.
Wait, it's coming to the Wii?
Yeah.
Well, I guess
always come to
that's
the Wii.
probably where they sell
it's probably where
the
they
most
sell
of
the
it.
most copies. And
But yeah,
so
even with this, I was like, I think the setting looks really cool and all that
Is it
kind of
all
stuff.
Watch Dogs
I think
still?
it all looks.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I would like when they. Obviously, I would prefer when they announce games like this, but this is what I was expecting from Gears 5, and I was expecting this from Gears 5. I was expecting this from Halo Infinite. I was also expecting this from a later game that we'll talk about, Marvel's Avenger, where we get a nice 15-minute presentation, a little bit of cinematics, a little bit of gameplay weaving in, and explaining what the story is, explaining what the game is.
Mm.
And
We're talking about what we want, not what they did.
yeah, what we want, not what they did. I think Ubisoft did it correctly with Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
And this is hilarious, the granny assassin. But yeah, but besides that, anything else you want to talk about from the Ubisoft conference? I think the Ubisoft conference was probably the most disappointing.
Yeah, Ubisoft was.
Oh yeah,
agree.
Adventure Time characters are now in Brawlhalla. A game.
Yeah.
And the show, I feel like kind of died out. Like the show was big. Like I'm not saying it's not big now, but I'm saying the show was like huge like 3-4 years ago. I felt like.
Yeah, I
That was
agree.
really good. I like that show.
I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm just saying like.
I know, but I'm just
like
saying it's a good
peak,
show. I
like
want to
peak
watch.
hype.
I kind of want to watch it again.
Yeah, I had never seen it, so I'm not gonna say anything. I just know they made a plethora of games that are kind of just come and gone that are Adventure Time like licensed games. There's some
Yeah.
on PlayStation. They're multi-platform, not like they're exclusives, but just Cartoon Network has some games that kind of just come out, and they're always like in that like 5 to 6 out of 10 range. And
Yeah.
since I haven't seen the show, I normally don't pick them up. So, I mean, more of anything is better than I guess it not being there. But
Yeah.
I agree. I don't see that, and I'm like, oh, this is something new and like at the peak of its popularity. Only because I don't hear about it, and I don't play them or watch it, so it doesn't mean a whole lot to me anyway.
Yeah.
And it's coming to Brawlhalla, so like I don't really play that game anyway.
Exactly.
I don't know what that game
It's
is.
like it's
It's
not
a
a bad
Smash
game.
game.
Yeah, it's like
Smash.
it's a Smash style game. It's on PlayStation. It's like a free to play game. It's like one of those games where you buy it, or well, it's free, so you download it and you get like
body characters.
exactly, yeah. So it's like the kind of style of game it is. But yeah, even now they're going back to Watch Dogs, where he's wearing a Watch Dogs shirt.
This is
like-
Division.
Yeah, so I was just saying because I saw his shirt.
Yeah.
and that's like Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Division thing came up right at the top to be like, "Fuck you, you're wrong." But yes, the Ubisoft didn't really have too much aside from that. They showed the main thing that they had to show, and then Square did their show, and the biggest thing to come out of their show is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Which actually looks really good. Another full blowout where we get gameplay and all that stuff. So that looked interesting. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy. I actually the one Final Fantasy game I played the most was on the NES Classic, Final Fantasy 3. Actually, Final Fantasy 6. And I had a fun time with that. I played like maybe 5-10 hours. I obviously didn't finish it. It's hard to finish the games on the minis because the controllers are wired and I got to stand like 2 feet from my TV.
Yeah, the
but
wire's way too short.
did definitely enjoy that NES one. I have not played any other Final Fantasy though, and so this is actually I'm actually want to play this game because obviously everybody like blows this game. Final Fantasy VII is a huge game in gaming history. Everybody knows it. So hopefully this is good and interesting.
Yeah, and
I'm going to
give
it a try
good.
just because based on the name alone.
Yeah, and it completely changes the play style. Yeah, based on like it's more similar to what Final Fantasy 15 is, which is the one that I played a little bit and I liked. I didn't finish it, but I enjoyed what I played. And the combat is similar to this, where it's like.
So do you play as multiple characters? Sorry to cut you off, but this is.
So yes and no. Like I think you mainly just control Cloud, but then there's moments in time where you can do other moves with other characters, like that are strategic things, which also plugs back into Final Fantasy 15. And that you play as Noctis, but sometimes your meteors are like charge up and you can do a super move with one of the members of your team. So like it's not. I'm forgetting it's not turn-based, which is traditionally what Final Fantasy is, and you pick like in between your members on your party and they do the moves. But in this, it's kind of like a mix of that, and it's just to speed up the pace and stuff. And this is probably just to get new audiences like me and you. Like, I'm interested in this because I see this. If I saw turn-based, I'd still be like, okay, this game looks great, but I know I'm not a fan of turn-based, so I might not go into it. But when I see this now, I think, oh, Final Fantasy 15, I enjoyed that.
But it looks like a little mixture of turn-based and...
Yeah, they were saying it's a mixture of. They were just saying...
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how like it feels playing.
Yeah.
So wait, which Final Fantasy is this one?
Final Fantasy 7. And also another big thing is they're remaking Final Fantasy 8. From what I've heard.
This is a remake?
Yes.
This is a remake. Final Fantasy 8 is going to be a remaster.
If you look at the original one, you won't even be like, that's the same game.
Yeah.
It's so different. Because it's so old.
15 different type of games?
There's actually 16 because there's
you're talking about like over every Final Fantasy game?
Yeah.
There's actually way more than 16. There's like more than 20 because you have every numbered series. You've got 1 through 15.
But I'm saying out of the numbered, there's actually 16 because there's 13 too.
That's true. There's also 10 too.
Oh shit! Yeah, so there's 17 games.
And there's multiplayer ones like 14 and 14 New Blood, which 14 is a numbered title, but then they have Breaking Points off, which are multiplayer ones. They have Final Fantasy Tactics, which is the strategy ones that are not mobile, but portable games.
Like one of them was on the PlayStation 1, and the other one was released on the PlayStation Portable.
All these games sell really well all the time?
I don't know.
I guess they have to. They've been around.
Yeah.
They have 15 of them. So
this will sell like hotcakes on the name alone, like he was saying. Like, we haven't played this, but this is one of those games that we hear about so often that like we're gonna have to play it. But a weird thing that they're still continuing with, that which is what they really detailed more on aside from the gameplay, is that it'll still be releasing in multiple parts. So they're not going to release the whole game at one time, and the first part will come out on March 3rd, 2020 to PlayStation 4.
So and like it is series, like, is it going to come out like
I think no. Well, they didn't say even when they did this detailing.
It's not like episodes. I think it's like just 2 chunks because they said it
because it
comes with two discs.
Yeah,
which is weird. That's like 90s as fuck.
It is, yeah. Considering how much space you have on one disc anyway.
Yeah, that's really funny. But I mean, the game looks visually very impressive, so I guess those textures are.
And I didn't play the game, so I don't know how it's broken up, but they said the first part will be like
Midgar.
this. Yeah, it'll be this area. It's an area.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. That's so I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know how many if there's like only 2 main areas but I doubt that.
But
so
you know what's also shocking and weird is that this is an RPG, it's an open world RPG. How the fuck do you backtrack? Because like if it's on one disc, obviously when it's on, well, obviously if you download it, it'd probably be easier because you just merge that shit. But, like, you know in RPGs, when you play them, you'll backtrack all the way to the first fucking area.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like, that's
I feel like what'll happen, and we could be wrong about this, maybe they have detailed this somewhere, but I don't think they have. I feel like what they could do is maybe, let's say you get 2 discs and you install both of those, and the game comes out with some patch that's like, this is this portion of the game. Mm-hmm. And then they just continuously patch in more portions of the game, and then it's like a full package. That's what I think would happen.
Yeah.
So, like, you wouldn't have to switch discs. I feel like you would just install everything on one I mean, it's confusing, but I feel like that's how it would be. Because there's so many
we're
games
not,
now
but
that
I'm
just
not
have so many
confused about
updates.
this version of this shit because I buy my games online mostly.
So then, yeah, it'll just be
Yeah.
patches. It'll just
So
that's
what
I
I'm
think.
assuming. It's probably just a big patch.
Yeah. And that's not me saying it comes out on March 3rd, 2020. It's not a PlayStation exclusive. It's just PlayStation timed exclusive. Basically, it's coming out first on PlayStation, and it'll be coming out later.
Call of Duty.
No.
Well, Call of Duty's
comes,
DLC comes out a week
Okay,
early.
likes.
But yeah, so I mean, it's an exclusive, so they get their bonuses.
And then also the big thing revealed, obviously, like I said, Final Fantasy VIII is being remastered and coming out later this year. So
The full thing or in parts?
the full thing. It's just
Why is-
remastering the game. They're not like remaking
Oh,
it.
okay, gotcha. I was gonna say, I was like, wait.
Yeah.
I was like, they finished 8 before they finished that?
Apparently,
Okay,
this
that
is a
makes
big
sense.
deal because Final Fantasy VIII is kind of like the bastard child. This is like the first time I think it's like gone off of the PlayStation 2 or 1. I think PlayStation 1.
Mm.
So yeah, it's the first time you're gonna be able to play it like on like modern consoles. So that's interesting. And then another big thing is The Last Remnant came out of this. It's a RPG from Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era,
Mm.
and it's available on Switch. Which enjoy that. People who are fans of that probably love that. But the other big news that came out of the Square Enix conference is obviously Marvel's Avengers, which is why which is honestly the reason I would want to watch this Square Enix conference. Because no offense to Square Enix, Jesus, what are you spelling? Justin can't spell Avengers. He spelled like a
It's just, yeah, with Square Enix, there's not a whole lot of their games that we play, maybe.
yeah, because I'm not a big Final
Like Tomb
Fantasy
Raider,
guy.
But then aside
Tomb
from...
Raider, yeah, but I know what that is, so I don't really
Yeah.
care to like.
And Deus Ex is like their big thing, and we don't really play that.
Yeah, I've tried Deus Ex, but they had me clicking the sticks to aim, and I'm not playing that shit.
Yeah. But then, yeah, and Square, so they did their Avengers thing, which, I mean, we're excited for, but it goes with what he was saying, where they already announced this game, and we already knew that it was going to be here. So for them to not show gameplay was a little weird. They showed a big cinematic trailer, which covers, like, one of the first things that's going to happen in the game. They said it's, like, very early on, or pretty much the opening. And it gives you really, 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 really small glimpses at gameplay. I say that because they don't even mention it as being gameplay, but if you watch the cinematic trailer, there are a couple of parts that are like in a third-person perspective of the heroes.
It kind of like goes behind Captain America.
Yeah.
Not Captain America, Iron Man.
Mhm.
And it seems like gameplay, just no HUD.
Yep,
So I'm assuming
exactly.
that it's like snippets in there.
And they do that for the Hulk too. It like looks like you're playing as him, but there's no HUD, so they don't say it specifically. But they showed that trailer. They talked about what the game is gonna kind of be like, which is still confusing for us because it's not a single-player campaign game.
It is single player. You can play the whole game single player.
You can, but it's also co-op.
But you
You can play any co-op game single player, but I'm saying
no,
like
but I'm saying you can. It's not. It's also like not always online connected. You can play the game offline, single player offline, which is a big deal because, like you said, people were kind of worried that it's going to be like a Division style game.
yeah.
Where you have to be
Characters look weird.
where you have to be
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day too. The characters look
yeah,
weird.
we'll get to that. But you are able to play it offline.
Did they say that? So let's say you play it offline, and because now what I'm confused about is, will other heroes that are supposed to be in whatever part of the game you're in, will those be computer controlled or will they just not be there?
They'll probably be in the game, but they'll probably be it'll just be like AI.
Okay, yeah.
So, damn, I'm trying to find his arc. There we go. All right, keep on talking.
But yeah.
They show you a little snippet of
So
being Thor. They
Yeah.
show him slamming like a hammer down, I think, on the floor.
Well, yeah, but see, they showed it, but you don't know what's gameplay. See, like that looks
Yeah,
like
that's gameplay.
gameplay.
It looks
Yeah,
like
that looks
gameplay.
like gameplay.
Like with the Hulk, they show like that little bit, and that looks like gameplay. But then it goes right back to just being cinematic. They show tasks.
So just like snippets from like actual gameplay, and then it just immediately goes into.
Well, yeah, but that's not how the game is gonna play. You're not gonna run up
Well-
as Hulk in 2 seconds and then it's gonna go cinematic. That's what I'm saying. Like they
Obviously,
show
but, like,
such a small amount that you don't really get like a feel for it.
So, in an interview with IGN, one of the developers of the game said, "I think it's something new. So it's an epic action adventure. It is narrative driven. There is a single player campaign that sets up the world, sets up the state of the Avengers. So it's very story driven. But where it gets a bit of a hybrid is during the setup of the campaign. Once you go through the campaign, you will have options in this linear story where you can go off and do missions. And by doing those missions, unlock players, your favorite superheroes, unlock different powers, master different abilities, then come back to the main thread if you wanted to." So what it sounds like is that you like there is a main narrative thread where if you want to play with your friends, you probably are limited to these are the people in this set piece. But if you guys want to pick, like if I want to be fucking Thor and you want to be fucking T'Challa, because I'm pretty sure Black Panther is eventually going to be in this game, and we want to do just a mission playing as those characters because those are our favorite characters, those may not be as tied into the main thread of the story.
Yeah.
So that sounds good. That sounds exactly what I want this game to be. As long as there's a nice main through campaign, that's all I really give a fuck about. I don't really care about...
It does sound good, but I am still confused. Like, they are giving these details, but I am still confused. And that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me because I just don't know, like, what that means. That's why I was asking, like, if those people are going to be there, are they going to be AI controlled, or is it just like they just won't be there?
From what it does sound like, it sounds like they're just going to be AI.
Okay, yeah.
I've never watched it before, so they're making the characters look like the actual superheroes?
They're not if what you're asking is, are they supposed to look like the movies?
Characters.
They're not supposed to look like the movies.
Yeah,
they do look weird. Even though...
I don't like Iron Man with that long hair. It looks weird.
But something we talked about, too, is that even if they're not making them look like the movies, it still should be okay because, like, even Batman in Batman games, and either the Arkham games or the Telltale games, I don't immediately think, hey, that doesn't look like Bruce Wayne from the Dark Knight movies. I'm fine with the way he looks. I just think these people, they just look weird.
But even though I love those Batman movies and we're tied to Batman and those characters... The MC has been in our lives for 10 years. For
much longer, yeah.
10 years. We've seen 22 movies now? 22 movies with these characters. This is, like, different. These are, like, family. Like, you know, in your mind, Chris Hemsworth is Thor. He's supposed to act and talk like Thor. Iron Man is Robert Downey Jr. Chris Evans is Captain America. So, like, these people are these characters, and I knew that this was going to be the biggest issue for me personally, is just, like, getting used to seeing and hearing these voices not be the people I expect.
But why do they not do it? Legal issues?
But even what we were talking
about...
They
don't do it because I don't think they don't... I mean...
But even on top of that, with Marvel's Spider-Man, yes, he does resemble...
Tom Holland.
Yeah, he resembles Tom Holland, but he also just resembles just a Peter Parker.
But they also made a clear distinction because Spider-Man is out of college in this one, right? He's like 20-something.
Yeah, he's older.
He's like 24 or something.
In this game?
No, in Marvel Spider-Man.
Okay. In Marvel Spider-Man, because they said I think he was like 8 years into being Spider-Man. So this is like prime Spider-Man.
True.
Tom Holland is like a little kid, so we're like kind of growing up with Tom Holland now. So it's a little bit different. But when you see that Iron Man, you're like, fuck, that's like.
But that Iron Man with long hair is supposed to be like years after that event that happens in the game, and it still looks weird.
Also about the trailer, so it sets up Avengers A-Day. It's this big event in San Francisco, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
It's in San Francisco, and something goes wrong. Captain America dies, and that's kind of the setup for the story. So he dies, and then we get a big monument to him, and then the Avengers eventually reassemble to counteract whatever the fuck happened.
He also cannot be dead throughout the whole game.
Oh no, he's probably not. I think I've heard rumors that it's going to be multiverse, and that's how you're going to get Cap back and shit.
Gotcha.
Like that. So I think it's going to get kind of like really. It's going to get really like comic booky, like even more comic booky than Infinity War and like.
Dude, when you say that, you know, it would be fucking amazing if they release stuff in the sense of like, in like a DLC would be like a comic book, so like it's a whole new story with like. That's specific characters. That would be fucking
That's what I
awesome.
honestly think that...
Like the menu, you like pick which comic book you want to go into and play.
But I think that they're going to have DLC drops.
They won't do that, but I'm just saying that sounds cool.
But what you say about comic books, I think what I'm assuming the DLC is going to be like, and updates to this game is going to be like comic books. Like it's going to be like an issue where you play like a level and it's going to progress the story, and then, next week you'll get this drop. So I think it's going to be kind of like that, where it's like this game is never going to... It's going to be a game as service, clearly.
But are you saying like one continuous or like different comic books? Like
I think it's going to be a continuous story.
So you think when this comes out, it won't have a complete story?
No, it's going to have its main campaign, continue story.
Yeah, like
but then
on the side.
Then on the side, what they like reveal to the game, because they're talking about regions. So they mentioned that like you can go unlock regions and unlock different characters. So what I'm assuming is that the main game will take place like in the United States, because this is take place in San Francisco. So the main game.
You see space in the trailer, so
you'll go out in space, but that's not like. But I don't think it's going to be like a region you can occupy. It's probably going to be like a mission.
Yeah.
So like there'll be different parts of the world, and like How Far From Home now is based in London. So maybe you go to London and you'll do something cool over there with certain superheroes, or you go to China and go there, go to Japan, go to Wakanda. So I think that's how they'll like integrate constantly adding stories to this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like you said, it's still very confusing because we haven't just got like a nice like chunk of gameplay and we haven't looked at like a map and it'll be like, oh, so we'll pause the game, look at the map, this is how it is.
And it's crazy because they could put 3 minutes of gameplay up and that would answer pretty much everything we said. If we could see them like go through a menu and load a level, we'd be like, oh, that's how this game works. But instead of doing that, they decide to try to explain it and take like 30 minutes and we're still like, huh, what?
Yeah.
Like it's still exciting, but the yeah, exactly.
It would be so much more nicer, so I know how the game's gonna.
It would be so much quicker, and people wouldn't have the same questions. But they gave a release date for it. It's supposed to come out on March 15th, 2020. It'll come out on PS4, PC, Xbox One, and Google Stadia. PlayStation also has a deal with Square, so they'll get early beta access and bonuses as part of their deal. So they'll get like more skins and stuff like that. And the 2 things that come free with the game are like when they update it as characters and areas, so you won't have to pay for those. But
I got an update on the Avengers game. It turns out the entire story campaign is single player only and has no multiplayer option.
Okay,
So that's good.
that's
only-
very good to
it's
know.
only
That's a
the
huge
campaign.
difference.
So the side stories are what's going to be multiplayer.
Okay,
That's
fine.
that's awesome. That's
yeah,
what I
that's
want.
great.
That's exactly what I want. from
Why
this
did they
game.
not just say that?
Well, this is all coming off after, like when
I know, but I'm saying
when
like they
IGN
should.
and GameStop have their
Yeah, why
interviews.
didn't
with
I
I'm saying like, why don't they just say that on their press conference? Why didn't they just say, hey,
Because
single player campaign is only
they
single
probably
player?
want to tease this shit, so then now you like we are now looking back now and trying to see like, oh, okay, we got an update on the game. Let's read it now. So they're probably doing it for that reason, so that you continuously think about this game.
Yeah,
But yeah, so this sounds like it's gonna be good. Everything seems fine. Everything's okay. I know everybody was scared about it being like multiplayer and like what the fuck, but everything seems like it's gonna be good.
yeah.
And do you think that this is tied into Marvel Spider-Man? Because that was the
Well,
big-
yeah, they said it will be because it's under the Marvel family of like games because it's Marvel's whatever.
But they haven't. Nobody's clearly said it.
Nobody's clearly said it.
And
You're
they
right.
showed a Taskmaster, and it looks nothing like Spider-Man's Taskmaster.
That is true, and I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So, but Spider-Man also does when you take a picture of the Avengers Tower in Spider-Man in Insomniac Spider-Man.
Mhm.
He says the Avengers are on the West Coast probably, or I think they're on the West Coast or something. And this game takes place on the West Coast.
I mean, also every character.
Maybe those are one of them because you said one of the missions you have to go and unlock players.
Maybe you go to New York.
Maybe you go to New York.
I was gonna say also every character has different costumes, and you end up fighting and beating Taskmaster. Maybe he just makes a new costume.
Yeah.
Like when you see the actual way they look like underneath the costume, if they looked different, like if they showed a Spider-Man look different, then I'd obviously be like, no way, it's not
Yeah.
connected, whatever. But like maybe it's just Taskmaster.
I mean,
later,
I
or-
thought it was going to be connected because they both have the
I
Marvels
thought it was
in
too,
front of
yeah.
them, but maybe not. Maybe
I mean,
would've-
not even
I would
necessarily
hope that
like
they're connected. That'd be kind of weird if they weren't, though.
it would be a little weird, especially if they're gonna continue
that's what I'm
on
saying.
making like Spider-Man games. But the thing is, it's
So then, but then this
But
would
it's
be
tough
like
for
an
them-
interlude because then what happens with Spider-Man 2? So I'm assuming
Yeah.
that this game would probably, if we're looking at a timeline, I'm assuming the Spider-Man game happens before all this shit because it seems like a world's huge event happened.
yeah.
So
But even then, since it's completely different companies, it'd be a lot to try to make everything.
and also
connected.
Spider-Man's a PlayStation exclusive. That's hard to like
Yeah.
force people. You're not forcing them. Obviously, you can probably play these games without.
Square does have a deal with PlayStation though.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like it's not an exclusive,
Yeah.
but like if they lean towards
is the
any
marketing of this
console,
game behind PlayStation? Like when we see trailers, is
It
it going to
probably
be
will
like,
be.
PlayStation?
because PlayStation will get a beta and like extra stuff.
So yeah, so the marketing is tied in with. So yeah, maybe it might be. I mean, that'd be dope. Maybe this is how they get Tom Holland in the movies. They're like, all right, we'll do this, but all the games have to now be connected through this one Spider-Man game.
Hmm.
That'd be
Like-
cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's Square's biggest stuff, and then
And then
only thing
what
left
we
is
got?
Nintendo.
Nintendo. And
Well,
Nintendo-
technically, Devolver Digital had one, but I'm not gonna lie, I did not watch it. And even trying to look up recaps, I didn't really see anything. They probably just showed a bunch of indie games.
yeah.
Not that they're bad. Devolver makes some extremely good games that come out of left field, but Nintendo was kind of the last one shown. And the thing that people freaked out about is they showed a small cinematic trailer, like a teaser for Breath of the Wild 2. It's not titled Breath of the Wild 2, but it's the next Legend of
Click
Zelda.
that first video.
It's the next
Or
Legend
the
of Zelda that
second
they're
one.
making, and the art style and everything matches Breath of the Wild exactly. So they just said the sequel is now in development. So
When do you think we're gonna see that?
Like when it's gonna release?
Yeah.
If
It's been what, 2 years?
If it's been 2 years since the last one.
It's actually gonna be 3 years in what, March when it's gonna be 3 years
in
in
March. It'll be 3 years. So I think it will come out in like 2023.
2023?
Zeldas take a long time.
I was assuming but the thing is, it's the same engine, so
That is true.
I didn't think it was. I honestly thought it might come out next year in the fall.
You're right. That's a good point. I didn't consider it because I was
either
just thinking
think next year in the fall or early 2021, like spring
Sure.
2021. I don't think.
You're right. No. The same engine is a big deal. That's
Yeah.
something I didn't think. I thought of just average time that it takes between Zeldas.
Yeah.
And that's a good point because even if you think back, it was a completely different time. But like when they did Ocarina of Time and Majora's
That was
Mask,
only a year.
same engine and it's only a year. So you're probably right, especially since they're already showing a little bit of it now.
And what I was about to say, Nintendo's usually good about showing games and having them come out like soon. They're not like they haven't really delayed. I think honestly the biggest delay so far has been the Metroid Prime 4, which
Yeah.
we didn't get we didn't get a release date.
No, we didn't.
They
And,
just said that like the development hasn't gone well, and then not Horizon.
and they at least gave
Animal
a reason.
Crossing.
They at least gave a reason for why
Yeah.
it wasn't like
And
coming
then
out.
Animal Crossing New Horizon
Yeah.
is the first like major game I think has gotten delayed by Nintendo. Because Mario hit its date, Zelda obviously hit its date.
Mhm.
I think Pokemon's gonna hit its date. I think
Yeah.
Luigi Mansion, they haven't put a specific date, but I think it's coming out this year.
Yeah, they said it'll come out this year.
Yeah, so I don't think it's gonna like slip into 2020.
Me neither.
And then Smash came out when they said it was gonna come out.
Yep.
So
Yeah, they've been good about their dates.
the only game that was shockingly not here is Bayonetta 3.
I didn't really think of that.
Yeah, that was the one I was like kind of like expecting to be here, but.
That's true.
Luigi Mansion 3 looks fun. I hope it comes out in August. I mean, not August, October.
Yeah,
or late
so it's
September.
part of the Halloween.
We're going to have a whole bunch of Halloween games this year. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah.
We're going to have this. We're going to have Medieval. And there's another one that we're forgetting that we still haven't remembered.
That's all right. We'll remember it eventually. We'll remember it by Halloween time.
We'll hopefully remember it by Halloween time. But there's supposed to be another spooky game coming out.
But yeah, so with Luigi's Mansion 3, they showed gameplay for it. They showed a gameplay, like a full kind of walkthrough showing different abilities that you'll have in it. It's not in a mansion, even though it's called Luigi's Mansion. It's in a hotel. So you're in a haunted hotel. It's single player, but there are times where you can split off a part of yourself called Gooigi, and you can like swap control between your regular Luigi and Gooigi, or if you have somebody else grab a Joy-Con, they can play as Gooigi, so you can kind of co-op your way through those levels. And then they showed a party mode where up to 8 players can play together in this kind of like challenge tower thing where you just keep going up in levels. And everyone is competing. So they showed like your weapons, they showed the doctor in it, they showed or EGAD. So they showed a bunch of stuff about that. That looks super good. And then Nintendo also had a little segment on Super Smash Brothers where they detailed a little bit more about the Fighters Pass, which is $24.99 if you wanted to pick that up. And they said all of the fighter packs will be out by 2020. So Banjo-Kazooie was like the big one that they showed, which is a big deal because
First Western character.
Yeah,
in the Smash
and
game.
it's Banjo-Kazooie is owned by Xbox. So, but Phil Spencer had come forward and he said like he was happy to do the deal, that it wasn't a big deal because Rare and Nintendo has worked together before. So they did that. Banjo-Kazooie is now in that, or he'll be coming to it. He's not currently out, but he'll be coming to it. And then they also showed Dragon Quest XI's Hero, and some other people from Dragon Quest will be in Super Smash as well. So that was some of the stuff that they showed that was new. Zelda, Luigi's Mansion, and the Super Smash stuff. I'm not really sure what else they showed. Like big deals. Those were like the things for me that was like huge highlights.
Link's Awakening, they introduced this new dungeon. They showed the release date for Link's Awakening, the remake, September 20th.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's like a new dungeon creator gameplay aspect of it that wasn't in the original game. So that's the big news about that. Cadence of the Hyrule was out. It's out actually.
Which you've been playing, yeah.
I played a little bit. Yeah, it came out yesterday, which is weird. I thought it would be like an out now thing, but that's fine. You just wait a couple days.
What? Day 3?
No, 'cause
Like
they
day
have
3 of
they have
E3.
They have a bunch of events going on, so yeah, don't worry about
Oh,
that.
okay.
And Treehouse is not their direct.
Yeah.
Nintendo Treehouse is kind of just like their... Nintendo Treehouse is like what all... Like what PlayStation's not there, but like what Xbox does and PlayStation normally would do is they have guests from different studios come
Developers
on
talk
and show gameplays,
on and then
I was
explain.
about to say, I think
Go more in
Star Wars
depth
one.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically E3 in a nutshell. I mean, we didn't talk about any of the streaming stuff.
But that's like the biggest news.
Yeah.
But there is streaming stuff, yeah. So Microsoft
Showed
showed off,
off
or at least
xCloud.
talked about xCloud.
And from what I'm hearing from impressions of people who played xCloud and Stadia, Stadia seems to be running a little bit better than xCloud, but Also, I feel like that's kind of a hard environment to test, especially like in a big convention like that. Like the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi is not going to be the best.
And there's so many people there.
Exactly. So
Also,
I would take that.
It could be a lot of
I would take
factors
those.
that go into
I would
it,
take
so.
those like those as like with a grain of salt because of the conditions. But for what the positive from what I'm hearing is that they're both working.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're both working at all, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Stadia personally. Maybe not xCloud as much because I just still don't. I don't understand it yet.
Yeah.
Stadia I understand now is like a browser. I just log in, got a controller, shit works. But
Sure.
xCloud they still haven't like explained exactly how it is.
Yeah. And another thing that I don't understand is Bethesda also showed
Orion.
Orion.
Which is supposed to be it sounds like a supplement to these streaming.
Yes,
sites. Like,
exactly.
It sounds like something that's gonna, like a tech. It's
It's
like
not
Unreal,
something-
it's like Unreal Engine to game developers. Like not as big, obviously. Like how Unreal is like makes a lot of like it's an engine that a lot of people use. But I'm saying like it's a supplement in the development process. So I think it's a supplement in the streaming process.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. That's what I got out of it, but I'm still a little confused. But that's also because I just don't understand
Because there's a
completely
beta
the streaming
for
thing.
it, and I'm
'Cause
like,
they're
why
saying,
is there
yeah.
a beta? Is like yeah.
And I don't know if it's something that's supposed to be more with xCloud or if it's something more that's
They
with...
mentioned Stadia and xCloud. They said it's something that xCloud and Stadia can both.
They said they'll
use.
both benefit from it.
Yeah.
Which again, what is it? Is it like an add-on? Do you just download it and then use it while you're using
I think it's
those?
something that
Does
they
it
would
just
be
make
using.
it better?
I don't think it's anything that the
You don't think it's
user-
anything we would do?
No, it has nothing. I don't think it's anything the user would have to select or
You
use.
said beta access though, right? So doesn't that mean we could download it?
Yeah. I guess so.
So that's what I'm saying. So like if
I
they
don't-
said
yeah,
beta,
I
then
don't-
maybe we could download it. But I don't know exactly. I don't know how we would use it either. That's why it's confusing. Confusing times
It's very confusing times.
in this future, the future of gaming.
And so, that's the one thing though that's concerning me about Sony. So overall, who won E3 in your mind?
I think it's unfair because PlayStation wasn't there. But being the way things are, I'd say Xbox because they had the most stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say Xbox won?
Yeah.
I didn't watch any of them, so
I
I'm just
honestly,
going off what I've heard.
obviously, Sony
I'd be in
Sony
between-
Pony here. I think PlayStation won by not being there, because even though people are talking about these new games and all this stuff, I feel like the conversation is still about what is PlayStation going to do.
Okay, well,
I think that there's a mystery. There's now everybody's kind of like because what Xbox showed about the next gen console, like I said, PlayStation did that shit in the Wired interview. They just don't have they don't have people talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's like the same shit. They said the same thing that PlayStation did, ray tracing, all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
No loading times, all that shit. So it's the same thing as that. But we don't have we don't know the games, we don't know the release date. So yeah, there's a little more mystery. There's more mystery behind it, and I think that we'll get like a nice full blowout for PlayStation Experience. I'm just knocking on wood in November. So I think PlayStation won by not being there because I think, like I said, all these conferences were generally weak. It was generally a weak E3.
I think it's tough to gauge because I think every E3 people are going to be like, oh, it's kind of a weak E3.
No, remember those E3? There was like 3 E3s in a row where PlayStation fucking killed it. Remember the E3 that had God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon, when we first didn't know about these games?
Uh-huh.
And Final Fantasy VII Remake?
You said there were 3 in a row. What were the 3 in a row? I'm just asking
I would
because...
say from probably 2013 to 2015. Those E3s. 2013 was...
See, 2014 had nothing. And that's true.
Tell me what 2014 was.
I'm saying 2014 had nothing.
But, like, what did it have?
I don't remember because it wasn't noteworthy.
I think that they were killing it.
The God of War that you said is true. The reason why I'm saying that, though, is because, like, I think, like, E3, there are some years where I'm like, overall, this is fucking amazing. Most years, I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, E3 was whatever. But why? Like, what's the point in even saying that? You're getting so much news that you wouldn't have got otherwise. Until, like, what you're saying, which will probably happen, is all of these companies will eventually have their own directs, and that'll just be the case. But in general, E3 is still nice. That's like whenever somebody's like, oh,
I'm a
E3
little
was...
skeptical about E3 because I had learned some information about E3 that is very, 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 very weird, and I think something that most gamers shouldn't know about because it's kind of troubling.
You care to share?
So E3 is basically brought up by the ESRB, which is the lobbying group in Washington that lobbies on the behalf of games.
Mm-hmm.
And E3 is where they get half of their money from.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like E3 probably would have been dead a long time ago if that lobbying group wasn't behind this.
That's also the people who are on the board of directors of it. Phil Spencer is that's why he was saying like, oh, it's not as good without PlayStation here, but he's part of the board of directors. So is the CEO of 2K.
So
or
they
Take-Two.
They have a monetary interest in keeping this up.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously,
Still enjoyable,
this is business.
though. Yeah.
At the
I
end
don't
of the
feel
day.
like E3 could be bad. It's just news at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
there's no point of us taking it away. Like,
But-
if the E3 is bad, it's just because there's not stuff there that we're excited for to see that we haven't heard about before.
Yeah, it's just
It's not
news.
because the show itself is bad.
But
it's
what I'm
just-
saying is that PlayStation, I think, did it correctly. They're like, we have nothing new to tell you.
I agree. Yeah,
We're
you're
not-
right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't show up because
So I don't think Xbox should have showed up. What did they show? What did they show first party that's new that they couldn't show like a nice little 9-minute trailer like they did for Death Stranding? They showed what? Besides first party, not new third party.
But
things.
again, you're right. They could have done a direct, but I'm not upset they did a conference. I watched the whole conference and I was completely entertained the entire time because a lot of stuff they showed wasn't Xbox related. It's just they showed it because PlayStation wasn't there. Cyberpunk had to be shown somewhere.
But they have Xbox marketing behind them, so they were.
You
Gonna,
think-
it was
you
gonna be.
think
I know, but it's not like an exclusive or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's not like first party.
I know,
or
but I'm
anything
saying
like
they have the
that.
marketing push, so they're not going to be on the Sony stage, regardless. It was revealed.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so that was.
would have been showed on Sony.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's saying it
has
would
the
be.
marketing push of like when you see it on commercials at the end, it'll be like Xbox. Play
does.
it better on Xbox. You know.
I guess.
I feel like that game will be better for PlayStation.
Well, more people will probably buy it on PlayStation, but that's just besides
But that's
the
like
point.
yeah, like the Fallout games are like that too. Bethesda's usually tied with Xbox and
Yeah.
Microsoft in the marketing. That doesn't mean when you watch those commercials, you'll see a bunch of games and it'll be like PlayStation behind it, and it's like not a PlayStation exclusive, like Destiny.
Yeah. It's not a PlayStation exclusive. It's just that's
The marketing push.
the marketing
Yeah.
for it. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. My just overall thing is that E3 is kind of whatever, but it's tough for me to say like, oh, this E3 was bad, especially in comparison with other ones, because I don't think most of the time people consider E3 as good. I feel like every time an E3 is over, somebody's like, oh, E3 was kind of bad this year. And then people say that all the time. You know why? Because that sells. It's the same with everything else. If somebody posts something and says, hey, I hate this, it sucks, people are going to watch that more than people are going to watch something that's like, this is amazing.
So we should post this. The video should be E3 fucking sucks.
The thumbnail would just be us screaming at each other, and it'll say Ghostwire Tokyo in like red with like blood dripping off of it.
But I know I try to be as positive as I can. I think
Yeah.
I'm more generally positive than you are.
I mean, I agree,
on these
yeah.
things. But I just looking at it objectively, I just think this E3. But I think every E3 before like the consoles are launched, there's so much hidden. There's so many things held behind the cards.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that I just think generally, if you probably look back, the year before PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, that E3 was probably weak. The E3 before PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, that E3 was probably weak. So I just think that's historically just how it is.
Yeah.
So I think
true.
that this E3 is weak, and I think maybe next year's E3 one might be a little interesting if Sony comes in and they reveal more. Because I think how I think the consoles are going to be revealed, it's going to be the same thing with PlayStation 4. And in February, we might get a nice little event if they don't do the PlayStation Experience this year. If they do PlayStation Experience, we're going to get PlayStation 5 news there. If they don't do that, then probably February little event. Here's the thing. Here's the games. Here's pricing. Stuff like that. Then E3 will be like, we'll show you more. We'll show you PlayStation 5 games. And
Yeah.
Xbox will be like, we'll show you Xbox Scarlet games. Or they'll probably give it a name by that time.
Yeah.
So I think that E3 will be interesting. Next
Yeah.
year's E3 is probably going to be really good.
but
I'm assuming.
if they do that, then Xbox would be in trouble next year. Because if they showed the stuff that this year
Yeah.
that they're developing, I don't know what they'd have working on it. Otherwise, that would be like launch titles.
Well, no, but then they can probably show like the Initiative Studios game.
Yeah, you're right, because they said they acquired all these studios.
Yeah,
and
they
didn't
acquired,
show a
so
lot
they
of
probably
them.
can show more games like that. Sony hasn't released besides the 3 first-party games we know about. We know no other first-party games. We know God of War 2, Spider-Man 2, Horizon 2 are in development.
Yeah.
We don't know what Naughty
And
Dog's-
Last of Us 2, which all 3 of those are. I
Yeah.
mean, if we're being real, all of those are probably like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, those are all like
All of those are like sluggers. Like
Yeah.
all of those are individually probably better than anything Xbox is going to come out
exactly. So that's why I'm not really concerned.
with. Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I'm saying they probably have other shit in
Yeah.
the back that we don't know about. All the other third parties, they have games that we don't know about that they're developing for the next gen. So I think that next E3 is going to be a lot of more surprising reveals. Is all I'm saying. And it's going to be more.
If the
E3.
internet can get off of it, though, that's another problem that we have now is leaks happen so much more than they used to.
But this has actually been a debate. Where do you fall? Do you want leaks or do you not want leaks? Because
do I want leaks or do I not want
not
leaks?
that you do, not that you not want leaks. Because because actually Jason Jason Schreier and Corey Barlog kind of like went back and forth on Twitter, arguing about the fact like that Jason shouldn't have done that and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, these are gaming journalists, and it's just like anything. If you're a journalist and you get information,
well, okay,
and there's things that they know about that they still don't write about.
I think.
So
there's stuff that they know that they can't write about too.
Well, obviously,
legally,
they're gonna write what they can.
Yeah, there's stuff that they just can't say. I think when it comes to me, I think from a journalist and even from our perspective, because technically, I mean, we do a show about news. All of these leaks and stuff benefit us. They benefit those journalists because they need a job. We need clicks. News because we need stuff to like feed the show. We need stuff for you guys to listen to and hear and get from us. You need to get value out of it. But for terms of just like enjoyment of video games, I would much rather not have leaks, because I think a lot of the stuff, even from like this E3 or E3s in the past, are just, they're taken away.
Even Final Fantasy VII Remake was leaked, but that was still a big reveal.
It's still, that's what I'm saying. It's nice, but from a person who's just like enjoying the media, you get a different sense of it, because it's not just E3 leaks. It's a big issue with like when games decide that they want to have DLCs. You put that on whatever game files end up on PC, people data mine it, and then they see,
like the Mortal Kombat.
You know all
the characters are coming to it.
Almost as soon as the game came out, they data mined it and saw all the characters that were coming to it, and the first trailer that they showed, boom, first character that showed up on that DLC list. For Call of Duty, an issue that Call of Duty has is not so much people finding out what's going to be, but it's people be like, oh, maybe this is going to be in the game. And then when that doesn't come to the game in too long of a time period, people hate on the game because they were like, oh, we thought this was coming. We saw we did. Yeah, but you're not supposed to see that. That's the whole point. Yeah. The whole point is they didn't tell you, so you're not supposed to see it. So I think it's good for us as news. I think it's good for journalists. I don't think it's good for the people who play games. I think for the people who play games, it'd be more fun to be surprised. That's why you don't want to go to the movies and already know what's going to happen in the movie. It'd still be cool,
but the thing is, it's different because they're not telling us the story of the game. They're just telling us what's going to be there.
It is. It is different.
And also, it's like, it's weird to see people defending marketing.
What do you mean?
Because people are usually anti-corporation, anti-big things.
That's true.
But people are like, because people are getting upset about the fact that like, oh, we know what Elden Ring is, and like, we know about the Watch Dogs Legion and stuff like that. But it's weird to see people defending like a big corporation's marketing brand.
That's true.
It's like, at the end of the day, that's all this is. And I'm not trying to like be like shit talk like corporations. Like, you're supposed to be marketing. This is business. This is America, capitalism. This is the world on it. This is world.
Yeah, it's just what you do.
It's just what businesses do.
So, I mean, even if you're,
don't they market when they're...
But what I'm saying is...
But think about it this way. Even if you're not thinking about it as a big corporation way, right? Think about it as you're an individual, you're an independent, whatever you're doing. Let's say, we're making a podcast here. You could support our Patreon at patreon.com/gaming. But like even us or anyone else, you talk about music artists or you talk about people who are working on short films, all that kind of stuff. They have to market their stuff to get their artwork out there so more people can enjoy it. Regardless of if they're making money for it or not, it's like tough to want to hate on marketing because everyone is going to have a vested interest in pushing their own creation out there. Even if they're not making money from it, like we want to have as many people listening. And we know musicians want to try to get their mixtapes and all that stuff to everyone they can. Mm-hmm. It's because you want to share your artwork. So like, yes, it's hating on corporations, but you should really be more open-minded and think about, well, they're just at the point that they are because of whatever they were successful at some point, so now they have so much money that now they're a corporation. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm for corporations. I'm just saying some of them are good, some of them are bad, but I think that goes with everything. So to like be against it just because it's one way or another is kind of dumb.
Well, it's also another type of marketing too.
What?
If you really think about the leaks, though.
And best believe that these companies use the media too.
That's true.
They probably leak. These companies use the media and leak things to an IGN, to a Kotaku, to a GameStop to get their stuff out there. So some leaks I think are planned.
Actually, that's why it's good to talk about these things, because that's a good point to mention out, because when you say that, all of the games that are leaked, I'm fully aware of. Some of the games that were announced, I didn't watch all the conferences. Some of them I missed. Yeah. But if a game was leaked, I probably knew about it because there was less news last week, so I could like. But that's
also
what I was
with
had
the
my
leaks
eyes
and
on.
the enjoyment of like E3, you don't have the enjoyment of being surprised, but at the end of the day, you still get the enjoyment. Like, Watch Dogs was leaked.
Yeah.
But Watch Dogs also showed us like a big, nice 15-minute chunk gameplay, all that stuff. So that was still enjoyable.
That's true.
Avengers wasn't leaked. They announced it. What else was leaked?
But Well,
Elden Ring was
leaked.
And then we got a cinematic trailer, so we'll be less disappointed because we're like, fuck, we expected this shit.
I was going to say with Watch Dogs, though, it wasn't so much like a huge tank on how enjoyable it was based on, because we already knew it was going to be in London, but like when they're doing the gameplay and you start playing as the granny, that would have been more of an oh shit moment if we didn't know that you play as different characters.
Yeah.
It was still really cool, and obviously we were watching it here and we still think it's really funny, but like that's the kind of thing that'd make you go like, I think a good way to put it is I can't remember the last E3. Well, actually, the God of War one. But there's not a lot of times where I say, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of times in directs, in streams, in conferences now where I'm just like, "Oh fuck, I didn't see that coming," because and maybe that's just because we're so tuned in.
The Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
That E3.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That E3 was really good.
Because a lot of the times I was gonna say, even if a game's not leaked, we're so paying attention to what every studio's working on that we're like, okay, this studio's working on anything.
So
this is the list of what we think it could be.
Like you talked about Playground Games.
Yeah.
We know that apparently they're making a Fable game.
Mm-hmm.
So when Playground Games announces that they're making a Fable game, it's not as exciting as if like. But that's just because we're tuned in and we're also making assumptions. But if they come out with it, because they're making open world RPGs, what the listings were on like LinkedIn for that company.
Yeah.
But if they come out and they're like, this is a different open world RPG, that would be surprising.
Yeah, it would. That's true.
That would be surprising.
But then it's tough too, because then if that's surprising, people might be like, oh, but it's not Fable. Now we're disappointed. It's not Fable.
So yeah, it's a lose-lose-win situation. Just as long as the games are good at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, it is tough to. It's tough to be like, well, was this a good E3? Just depends what you're looking for.
What I'm saying is that I think that genuinely before the consoles are launched, it's a poor E3.
I agree. I do agree.
The year before. The year when they're releasing, it's better because they have to... That's where like the beginning of the marketing push begins.
Like next year, they'll have to push everything they have.
Exactly.
Just to... Yeah, that's true.
Which would be fun to see.
Because next year, we're definitely going to get a nice Halo Infinite chunk. It's going to be a nice 15-minute game.
Cinematic trailer.
Nice 15 if I get a cinematic trailer for fucking Halo Infinite and no gameplay, I will riot. Riot.
But they'll show for all of those games. They'll show gameplay, and then for even if they show any PlayStation.
Also, there's
games,
no Forza game this fall.
This fall. Oh, that's true. They didn't. Yeah, they just had the.
So
expansion.
that Forza Street rumor might be true, and that's why they're taking a year off to make sure they get that shit right.
I feel like it's not though. I want it to be.
I want it to be,
but I feel like it's not.
Well, so far things are lining up, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not because the Forza brand is so tied to technical racing.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe what's the studio that makes those games?
I just think which one?
Playground is Horizon.
Yeah.
Well, who makes the motorsport games?
Turn 10 Studios.
Turn 10 might be making a different street racing game.
Maybe.
Not
that could
Forza
be
Street, but something racing.
Yeah.
But I think Forza Street would probably be better because it has the Forza marketing. You have the brand recognition of Forza.
I feel like Forza Street would only work in the hands of Playground, and they're not working on a racing game, so... Well, I mean, they're still supporting Horizon,
They have I think they have two teams now.
You're right. They do have two teams, and I did forget that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. But that's why, because they're like, what's the second team working on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully it's a Forza. So, yeah, we're going to get a Forza with the new console.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get the Halo Infinite, and then we'll probably get, I don't know, some other shit that we don't know about.
True, and they'll show that next year.
Exactly. And then for PlayStation 5, we'll probably get Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That is nice. It brings a nice smile on our face.
Oh, God, that feels so good.
That's just because we're whores for Naughty Dog.
That's true.
That's another good point too. Just because Sony didn't have an official thing, where like maybe this isn't as exciting for us because it's not Sony.
It's not the game.
Like if Sony was
to come
out,
it's not the ecosystem we're invested in.
Yeah, if
so
Sony
I think
came
that
out,
definitely tainted. I can admit my biases. That definitely tainted my view because it's like, well, I didn't see anything that's coming to the consoles I play.
Yeah.
I mean, we play on everything, but like the main console I turn on every day.
Yeah, exactly. So
Sure.
At the end of the day, it's still nice, but everyone. Some people are upset, some people are disappointed, some people are surprised, some people love it. It just depends. There's so many different things that tie into it, but
it probably would be more fun to go there, honestly.
Yeah,
like if I was able to play like these behind scene demos, like these like journalists and like influencers get to play, that would be fun as fuck. But.
That would be awesome. But you can, as listeners, you can let us know what you think about this. What part of E3 were you most excited about? What shocked you?
What type of game will Ghostwire be?
Yeah.
Ghostwire, whatever the fuck.
What kind of game will Ghostwire Tokyo be? And is Resident Evil 2 a survival horror game?
It is. Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Is Resident Evil 2 Remake a survival horror game? These are the questions we need answered, and we need you to answer them. So you can go in the comments and tell us what you think. You can also support us on Patreon if you would like. We appreciate it so much. It's at patreon.com/thehudgaming. Anything helps us out a lot so we can continue to do this and the quality can just keep going up and up. But regardless, we're going to do it anyway. We love it. And we're so thankful that you guys listen to it. If you like the video, you can go ahead and drop a like on the video, or you can subscribe. And if you're new here, you can hit the notification bell and you'll get notified every time an episode comes out. If you are listening on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can hit follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, you can also hit subscribe so you'll be notified when new episodes come out. And they're also on our official website at thehudgaming.com if you want to just go there. But that's pretty much all we've got. We got to thank our Patreon supporters. So thank you, George, Lacey Perez, and Matt Acevedo. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And thank you to everyone else for listening to this show. We hope you guys had a great E3 because it's still a holiday for all of us, regardless if it's good or not. And there's always fun sales and stuff like that to be had. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.